hearth and the beautiful fire. Enjoy yourself. Eat some large tenderloins on big old sticks. Some, I don't know, country fair popcorn, whatever you'd like. It doesn't matter as long as you're here and you're ready to tell a tale. However, it is our turn this time around. I am your host, Tyler Vidito, and of course, with me today, this beautiful day, I have my co-host, Cam and Nick. How is it going, everybody?
It's a time. It's a time. It's
what a time to be alive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird. This is almost like maybe it's a little rough to say post-coital that we saw a lot. We've been given a lot. We are in our afterglow right now. It's like, wow, holy smokes, what a week. This was a week.
What a freaking week.
No kidding.
Too. It became a sort of thing where like you're in, especially during E3, right? For those like 4 or 5 days, however many, you're in video games like full time, right? If you're doing the sort of things we do, you're just in 100% of the time. I took time off and then I got out of it and I was like, oh man, the real world, it exists. Oh, I forgot.
Oh God, there's responsibilities.
I went out today, guys. I went out.
Oh yeah,
I caught all the Pokemons. I caught.
Oh gosh, don't worry, we'll get into that. Not to make another allegory, which David Cage would certainly not approve of.
No allegory.
Think about it. Our lifestyles handling E3 in different ways, or much like the stories of Detroit Become Human. We had our own plots and tales that we had to spin through and weave through the problems of our everyday lives with E3 in the mix.
And a lot of people died.
Yeah, a lot of people died. I went the very conflictive route. They're looking for me, man. Well, you gotta watch out. If I have to go early, I'm sorry.
No, understandable.
Okay.
There is absolutely a good reason why you won't see me next week, though, because holy smokes, am I getting married?
Oh, jeez. What are you talking about? You should just record anyway.
Live stream from your wedding.
I don't see the problem.
Live from the reception hall of Tyler's wedding, we have myself, Cam, and Nick.
Oh man,
hot divorce incoming.
Oh, jeez. Don't say that. I'm still really concerned because the park that we're going to get married at has 1 gym and 2 Pokestops within marrying distance. Like I could be doing my vows and making sure that Team Valor owns that gym.
You got to do what you got to do, man. I mean, let's be real.
I got to make some decisions. That happens in a week, technically 5 days for the audio listeners.
Oh man.
Yeah, this Saturday, which means I will not be able to make it for the next podcast, unfortunately. I'll have to depend on you two to bring up the most exciting and delectable content, which I'm sure is going to be very easy because I won't be there.
I can't wait to do it because I'll be in New Hampshire with bad internet. Hey.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Speaking of bad internet, I would like to formally apologize to Nick on air to the world. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It happens.
We tried to record an E3 episode midweek, and as it turns out, renting a random hotel, like, I went out of state for E3, but I picked the wrong state. Instead of LA, I went to Indiana. And I just picked a hotel, and it turned out the internet's not that good for streaming a conversation. But that's okay. We were talking about beautiful games like where companies like Ubisoft, so it didn't last too long. Or Square Enix. But don't worry. We will get into
y'all are sleeping on Square Enix. You don't understand.
Oh man, yeah, we've woken a sleeping giant. It is Kingdom Hearts 3.0. Cam, what have you been playing, man?
There's no such thing as playing during E3 week. There's only watching. So I played State of Decay 2 though for 20 hours, despite saying that.
I was 20 hours, dude. What are you doing?
Not leaving my house for 5 days after E3. That's what I was doing.
That is, I mean, you sent tweets, I believe, multiple pictures of your battle rations that you had.
Yeah.
All sorts of good stuff, man.
It's going to take me about 3 months to recover from that. Let's be real, but it's always worth it. Always worth it.
I actually just hung out with 2 people that came back this morning from E3.
Oh, nice.
And holy jet lag. Like they wanted to do the Pokemon Go community event. They were so jet lagged. Like they got home around like 8 o'clock this morning after delayed flights after flights, and they were dead on their feet. I didn't believe jet lag as much as I thought I would have until I saw the look in their eyes. Like the desire
that's also minor jet lag. It's only a couple of hours. Imagine a 12-hour jet lag that I have to deal with a couple of times a year.
That's right, because traveling, that's rough. Just like stay up, I guess become nocturnal at that point, right?
Oh, so. It's bad.
Nick, what have you been playing, buddy?
Standards, Overwatch, some Destiny 2, a little bit of Fortnite. And me and my roommate went out for the community event today, the Pokemon Go community event.
Oh yeah, man. Did you catch any Larvatars?
I caught a lot of Larvatars. I caught too many Larvatars.
Me too.
A lot of Larvatars and a lot of Pooptars and a lot of Ratars.
I opened up my app at home and caught a shiny one, then closed my app.
Oh, I got 2 shinies too.
Immediately.
I had no idea shiny ones were in the game now. I had zero clue. Zero clue.
Been in there for quite a few months now.
Yeah, okay, so I picked it back up again a month ago, so
that's fair. I'm surprised you didn't get to see a shiny before then. Not all the Pokemon are shiny, but a good number. I would say maybe a quarter to the half. I could be wrong on obviously.
Building up. Yeah, they're building up. I think it's like 20 or 30 at this point, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're building up.
Myself, I end up getting 500 Larvitar candies. I think
500.
I caught between 250 and 300 Pokemon. Most
That's
of them of which were 3 hours. And as it turns out, having 2 friends in your vehicle with you, jet lagged but full of E3 talk, more than happy to tell me every single thing I would want to know about the miseries of actually being at E3.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
Spoiler alert, unless you have a media badge, it's more fun watching from afar.
Yes, it is.
100%.
I like the city of Detroit.
Yeah, I've heard 100% of the time from people who've been there that just basically, if you want to see all the announcements, don't go to E3. Sit at home and watch them all because you won't get them. I've even heard of scenarios where people weren't aware that a new console was announced because they didn't get into the conference and they were just hanging around the show floor until someone yelled it out. And it was like, okay.
It was, I mean, they said the usual expected things. They got to play Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu.
Yep.
Got 8 minutes, and the wait line, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Which totally expected. Apparently, according to them, they had about 40, 50 TVs dedicated to Mario Tennis Aces, and then about 10 to 15 dedicated to the Pokemon game. Which it seems kind of weird, given that they just had a worldwide weekend event for that. You think? I mean, I guess that is the big thing.
Yeah, clearly they don't feel like they need to push Pokemon, and that's likely true. You know,
it's true. And according to them, what they saw and what they played was what they expected. It is that, and also a lot of organic food.
Huh. Okay.
Apparently, meat is incredibly expensive. First off, they explained to me that they wanted a burrito. You know, a standard bean and rice burrito is so much, but if you wanted to add chicken to it, it was an extra $5.50.
No, I mean that's just con food in general for you. I bet.
No kidding. I mean, I was, street meat in general is usually expensive at these kind of festivities, but $5.50 just to add a little bit of chicken to it.
Yeah, I've seen some disturbing things like $10 mini sandwiches that are like just the side sandwiches you would have got school, things like that.
Oh, geez.
It's never great. It's never great. But
I just imagine the local schools now opening up their cafeterias and saying, "Hey, eat up! It's only $15 for this little slice of cafeteria pizza."
Chartwell.
Oh boy. Yes, Pokemon Go. Played it for a good 3 hours. Caught a lot of Larvatars. I did not get to evolve any yet. And I noticed when my friends were trying to evolve them to Tyrannitars, you're supposed to get a special move called Smackdown.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So that's the move.
And however, they started evolving. It's like, we're not getting Smackdown. It's like
I evolved. Yeah, I evolved one and I didn't get a Smackdown.
It was weird because it's usually guaranteed.
Yeah.
Which it freaked me out. I was like, what's going on here? And so, I said, screw it. I don't need to look at through my 200 Larvatars to find which one I like the most in the span of 15 minutes. If I am not guaranteed the move, I'm not going to worry about it. Plus, Earthquake's better. But that's just speaking from experience.
Yeah.
I also played a little bit more of Shocker Persona 4.
Ooh, Shocker.
I am now in good cahoots with Chie. She got really embarrassed with me with her anime emotions, but I am now she is now my lady friend, which is I had to word this very specifically the week before my wedding, just in case it's like in case anybody wishes them
competition.
Speak now, and one of us like, this man is trying to date Chia in Persona 4, and
it was me actually in the audience. Yeah.
you hold up my Vita, and everybody's like, "What's that?" And you're like, "It's Vita. He's trying to cheat with them." My and they gets into a big uproar.
Yeah.
So
I have to explain what a Vita is for 2 hours straight. So
I mean, we can do that right here if we wanted to. It's beautiful. And I've also been playing a little bit more of Pokemon Quest. Now, Pokemon Quest is a game. I remember the first thing I said on Twitter about Pokemon Quest before I even got to touch it more than 5 minutes was Pokemon Quest is a game that's probably not meant for everybody, which I thought included me. I thought it included me.
The brainwash is real.
It is terrible because after I made that jump, I made the biggest jump. It went from a passerby, spend a half hour on this game at most once a day game to, this is now a game that I can play for at least, 5-6 hours a day. With how much they give me, because with all I got, it's like, oh, you can do this whole exploration 8 times now instead of 4 or 5, and we also give you enough tickets that you can recharge your battery 4 or 5 times, and suddenly it turns into I want to see numbers go up, and I'm learning a couple of good things, and I love and hate this game.
I was gonna say, what did you learn? 1, don't let my wallet be associated with Pokemon Quest. 2,
exactly. No. That is a very safe one. The first thing I learned is leveling up your Pokemon in this game is meaningless.
Awesome.
Because originally I thought, if you need to, pass the levels, you need to grind your Pokemon, level them up, and so on and so forth. I was stuck in like the last section of the main island before you get into like Seafoam Islands kind of stuff. And suddenly it's like I got level mid-30s, low 40s Pokemon, and these guys are smoking me. And it's like, okay, I'm going to have to spend hours upon hours grinding these guys up to the 50s. Until I discovered I got something that's called a silver pot. You start with a bronze pot, you get like an iron pot, then I got a silver pot. It takes a bunch of materials, it can get complicated. Bada bing, bada boom, I do the right thing. Suddenly, it gives me level 70 Pokemon.
Oh, man.
And it's like level 70 Pokemon straight from the get-go when I'm trying to raise level 40 Pokemon. And it's like, do I want to raise this level 69 Abra, or do I want to keep committing to this game with a level 48 Alakazam? And it's like, I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, pretty easy question there, solved there.
And so quickly enough, I completely abandoned the team that I swore I would take to the end, including my beloved Raichu, and went straight into having a Machamp, an Alakazam, and a Slowbro for some reason. I was amazingly shocked when I saw that these new Pokemon I'm just going to get out of the blue were 30 plus levels above the rest of my team. And with that, now with like it's turning into the slow grind again, trying to get numbers go up slowly, but surely. And I'm hoping I hit a wall so I can quit again.
Yeah, just quit in general.
I could, but my Machamp needs me, and I finally got a Machamp that has bulk up, and now it's so cool.
He doesn't need you at all.
He doesn't need me. No, he doesn't. I thought I was the coolest cat in town when I got a Dratini. I was like, oh man, a Dratini. I'm gonna have a Dragonite. This is gonna be great. It's gone somewhere. It's gone to Pokemon. A special ranch Pokemon off to the distance. Yeah. Okay, so that is my rant about Pokemon Quest. I'm sure you'll hear about it 2 weeks from now as I, have beaten the game and show another like $40-50 into it.
Beat the game. This is a mobile game, my friend. I don't think there is any beating here.
It is. There's
no winning.
It's funny you should say that because the final level has a certain legendary Pokemon, which you can guess being Gen 1.
Yeah.
And then I've learned that after that, they start doing like Diablo 3 Greater Rift style things where they start just mass generating different levels and different Pokemon for you to beat.
Yep.
And so you can do that for hours and hours and days after that. So you're right. There is technically no beating this game.
Yeah, as there wouldn't be because it's a mobile game. They want to just like dig into that wallet, do a little deep dive in, pick it all out, and then...
I mean, it's nice because once I bought the one-time purchases, the only thing I could really go wrong with if I start buying different support stones. And it's like, okay, I really could use this support stone. Let me do this attack twice in a row. How much is it? $4? Heck no. I'm not going to pay $4 for a little shiny stone. I got scammed enough already. This is ridiculous. Okay, I don't want to talk more about Pokemon Quest.
I'm fine with that.
I'm feeding a beast.
I'm fine with that. Let's talk about the most important thing in the world.
Okay, let's go straight into the topic of the show. Let's go to the big talk. This is everybody. We've seen everything that this week has to offer. Let's talk about E3.
Ooh,
the
spicy.
Electronic Entertainment Expo.
The question of the show, I believe, was formatted
that's
as
the first time I've ever heard the full form of E3, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your first time hearing it like that?
Yeah. I had no idea I'm just like E3. Okay,
E3. What's it called? But yeah, the question, I believe the topic of the show is posed as, was it a good E3? And the answer of the show is yes. So
I see.
I would agree.
It feels like I may have some contradictory thoughts here on the matter, but I'm also very well known as a negative Nancy. So I do realize that I'm going to be quickly shoved into the minority. However, I'm okay with that.
Let's go.
Great. 2-on-1. This is going to sound like my favorite game of Super Smash Brothers. Let's talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Do we want to nitpick at the little bits?
Yeah, how do we want to do this? Any ideas?
I think we go for like big ones from each conference.
Or even just say, do you want to do conferences overall first? Say like how we felt about each?
I say we do the publishers first, just nitpick from them what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we'll tackle down the big three because we know that's going to be starting off. What do we want to start on first?
Let's start on the terrible EA.
EA.
Okay. To start. Well, we talked about EA actually, so we can
did talk about
summarize
EA.
that. Yeah,
so we can summarize it in probably 2 or 3 words. I was going to say sentences, but
not really.
Terrible Destiny clone. There we go.
There's a big D, I'd say overall, big D for that presentation.
Really? You're going to give it a letter grade?
Yeah, I've been giving them letter grades, actually. That's how we did it over on my other organizations then, basically. So we gave it a big fat D.
So you tell me this was a good E3, but you're going to start the first one off immediately with the D. There better be some A pluses going on.
Well, there are, but this is EA we're talking about. You can't do too much. Be fair.
Certainly, definitely.
All I could hear from EA was cringe. That's all I could hear. I could just hear the sound of cringe. If cringe had a sound, it was EA throughout the entire presentation. I think they failed on showing us
performance.
I think they mainly
you can't hear the cringe under a Japanese whistle or a flute.
Oh, the shukahachi, yeah.
No, there were some other cringy moments sprinkled throughout the entire event. But with EA specifically, they failed to capitalize on a big moment with Anthem.
Yeah.
All the information that came post their conference with everybody playing Anthem behind closed doors and them not showing proper gameplay, they failed to capitalize on a good moment right there.
To be fair, they give us maybe 3 to 5 minutes worth of gameplay content.
But the gameplay was, again, scripted, pre-recorded, like garbage. Like, we didn't see proper damage numbers. Yeah. We didn't see anybody actually do anything. It was like, oh, I'm going to fire off my gun a little bit. Oh, reload, skip to the next thing, a little bit of flying around. It was stuff we'd already seen before, basically.
Yeah, as we said, basically.
And it was like user interface stuff. That's it.
Yeah, they basically put, most of that footage was recycled from last year's E3. The vast majority of the footage. Then at the end, they showed about like 2 minutes worth of new footage. But when you're going to be deep diving on your big game, Anthem, coming out, early next year, that's a horrible, horrible, horrible way to showcase it. And, we don't know everything we need to know at this point about that game. So
EA, I would like to say, was probably one of the most, they did one of the most traditional things was make a fake interview. Let's have this, this very fancy lady be super hyped up, even though she didn't know what she was really being hyped up for, judging by the way she was talking about things. I could be wrong, but then of course she sits down these 3 random people that she found from the street that happened to be the PR or the developing team for Anthem, and she just posed these questions that they clearly had practiced for days and weeks. So it was like completely processed answers. It was not in a way that I was hoping, but it was the way I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because Anthem, we still technically don't know in the big scheme of things what Anthem is. We know what it can do. We know what it can deliver, but what is the main conflict? There's bad guys. Okay, sure.
You know, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, there was the same sort of issue with Mass Effect Andromeda, actually, from BioWare as well, via EA, where they kept showing so little off right up until release to make people think maybe it wasn't a done game. And guess what? It came out and it wasn't a finished game. So I worry. And not to mention that this release date that they put it on, we've talked about this on my end a few times, but February 22nd is now the release date of like 4 different big games that all have overlapping. Yeah, it's a bloodbath. There's a bunch of overlapping fan bases. I think there's 4 big games coming out then, because it's Days Gone, Anthem, Crackdown 3 got pushed back to that week, and then there's another one as well that was pushed back to there, and they're all overlapping basically in terms of, oh, they all are shooters in some way or form, and it's like, oh, that's gonna be bad.
Yeah, and again, like I said, a lot of developers, a lot of reporters, media people went into the closed doors version of Anthem, played around with that. They said all they could. I'm assuming they're under NDA. Said it was great. It's going to be amazing, but show us.
Yeah.
Right. February 22nd is not too far away.
Yep.
And anyways, beyond that, from EA, I think Battlefield and Sea of Solitude are the only 2 things I'd be excited for.
The funny thing, too, is they didn't even get to show off anything for Battlefield at their own conference. They basically threw it to Microsoft, probably because of an advertising deal. Yeah. But they needed it. EA was, the conference was so poor. Otherwise, they really needed that Battlefield 5. But we talked about EA a lot, and I don't want to go for too long. So.
We've got a lot to get through, But I will say this. I'm excited for Battlefield 5 because it seems to be, I think this might be the moment where Battlefield overtakes Call of Duty.
Oh, it's going to be the Call of Duty killer.
If it hasn't already, I'd actually like to look at the numbers.
Not a Call of Duty killer, but there's a single player campaign, and there's also PvP with their own unique version of Battle Royale and their big like battles that they've done with Battlefield 1.
Blackout, wasn't it? Didn't they call the mode for Battle Royale something like Blackout?
They just said Royale. They just said Battlefield Royale. No logo, no anything.
They haven't told us too much yet.
But I will say that I do think I think that Battlefield probably surpassed COD last year, because I think Battlefield 1 is much more popular than Call of Duty.
Oh, was it?
Number wise as well, I think so. I think actually I think Battlefield 1 sales, if I remember right, are in like the top like 15 of all time game sales or something like that. Like,
I enjoyed Battlefield 1. It was fantastic.
I realized my mistake. I was talking about Black Ops. Black Ops has mentioned something similar, and they have something called Blackout. So that would make more sense. Probably Bethesda would be the next one that we'd want to touch down on.
All right.
Okay.
So you guys go ahead, and I'm just going to start drinking whatever, because I'm sorry, Bethesda is out of my field of interest, but I know Nick's and clearly Cam's interested. So go ahead. Have your fun.
So personally, you know, we've gotten a lot of flack for it, but I throw Bethesda right in the middle of the pack along with Sony. And the reason why is because when I'm rating the E3 conferences, I'm not just rating what they announce, but I'm rating how they announce it, and how the presentation goes. And until Todd Howard came up on stage, Bethesda was struggling to do anything. It was very poor, even to the point of they announced a sequel to Doom, and we weren't excited for it because of how they managed to deflate their own announcement. So on the presentation front, Bethesda was struggling like hell. But in terms of the actual game announcement front, like, you couldn't have asked for more. In terms of game announcements from Bethesda, they literally put out everything they have.
All cylinders.
To the point even to the point, though, like, I don't want to fully count Elder Scrolls 6 while it was announced. The problem is they only announced it because everyone was mad, kind of, that it wasn't announced yet. So it's way out. It's like probably 5 years out. We're talking well after Starfield. So like, it's like, we give it some points, but we won't give it full points for an announcement, because it was just it's in pre-production. So
No, I think that's all. I think God Howard saved the presentation.
No, he did. We gave him more points after the fact because Skyrim Very Special Edition was real. It's not fake.
That was fantastic. Yeah, that was out of the whole conference, except for like the bombs they dropped at the end. That was the best part about it. When he came out, he's like, "I know what you guys want. We're porting it over to the Alexa," and I was like, "Yes."
Well, the funny thing too is actually, I didn't record us watching the actual conferences, but a sentence beforehand, I asked him to do it basically because he was talking, and I was like, Todd, you must know about the Skyrim jokes, please. And then the next sentence he said is like, in our quest to put Skyrim on everything, and we screamed so loud at that point. It was great. Nice. But no, it's real. You can actually play Skyrim on your Alexa, on your Amazon Echo, I believe it's called. And it's a real version of Skyrim. So I'm counting that as a port that gets full credit, that gets full points. So It was good. It was good.
Gosh, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I'm looking down the list of things I should be excited for by Bethesda, but we got Doom Eternal, obviously. We got Elder Scroll Blades and Legends.
Yeah, I'm interested in Blades. I think that Blades can kind of push. If things go well, it'll be a good way for mobile to get out of the sort of timer-based gotcha systems they're enshrined in, and maybe try and make more full console experiences on mobile to treat it as a fair platform rather than just a platform for monetization. So I'm excited for that. But
yeah, no, I have no interest in it, but the prospect of it and what it could possibly do is definitely fantastic. We're bringing, I will never consider mobile gamers, and that's just a personal thing. Like, really, play your game, but you can't be a gamer unless you're playing like an actual game on like a console or a PC or like something else. But anyways, that's my own personal bias.
I'll say it for things like this, right? So I'll say it for Candy Crush and things like that. Games that everyone plays, I agree. But for games that are actually, I mean, it's hard to qualify what's actually a game. But I think Elder Scrolls Blades, like if you're playing that deep, like no, I'll consider you a gamer. I will.
Oh yeah.
And most things like even really Fate Go and things like that. It's really just down to, are you playing a puzzle game to pass time? Like, did we call people who played Tetris on their phones back in the mid 2000s, the mid aughts? Did we call them gamers? Not really. But other than that, I think yeah.
So yeah, the thing with Blades is that it's free. It looked good, at least with the presentation that during the conference, and it'll open up the market or the prospect of other companies being able to do things like this. Basically, Bethesda found an opportunity. They took it. Whether it works out or not, people know that, okay, we can try this. And so hopefully like it opens that market and people start doing things, because smartphones are becoming more and more powerful nowadays.
I mean,
and it's something they can capitalize on.
It's the thing that we have to be real about, the fact that like our smartphones these days can emulate like GameCube and can emulate PS2. And when you have fidelity of that quality, you can make full experiences. Yeah, I mean, you could make them even back when all phones could emulate with 16-bit consoles, but now even more so than ever.
So yeah, excited for Fallout 76. I don't know if I'll pick it up because I've not actually played any of the Fallout games. The fact that
preach it, brother, preach it.
Y'all shouldn't be proud of that.
Hang on. But the fact that I can log on and get a nuke and nuke my friends' bases after all their hard work would make me want to play that game.
That's so cold-blooded. I could not work with that man at all.
Nobody will. I will not have any friends if I play with my friends. They will stop playing with me. You do not want to play Sea of Thieves with me either, because I'm just the same. All I ever want to do is fight other people.
Oh man,
I don't even want to take their stuff. I could care less about the treasure. I just want to fight other people. I want to sit on their ship and I want to spawn camp them. That's all I want.
You're the worst.
That is horrifying. You would not be the person I'd want to play with on Civ 5 or anything like that. I feel like you just max science, straight to nukes, bomb the nearest thing I could see.
Pretty much.
You can see. I mean, Fallout Shelter as well. It's coming out for Nintendo Switch and PS4, or it did come out. That's been out for a while on the phones, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's
PC as well, I think.
Yeah, they announced it. I think it was 2 years ago. I always get my years mixed up, but it was 2 years ago or a year ago that they announced it. I think maybe even 2 years ago that it was announced and then eventually released for PC and phone and that sort of thing. But it's a port. It's a port. It came out right away, and it was a mobile game, but it wasn't any sort of, as far as I know, at least, it isn't any sort of horrible monetization scheme mobile game. So
okay. Other things like we could mention is the Prey DLC, which did you play Prey?
Yeah, so I did play Prey, and actually this DLC. No, this DLC is actually really cool. I really like the fact that what they're doing with the DLC is making that sort of, making it so part of the DLC at least is that procedural generated, like survive as long as you can. It was a really effective trailer, first off, I would say, considering they used, spin me right round and stuff and showed all the repeats to explain how the game worked. And then also with the addition of the Typhon Hunter mode, which is basically prop hunt in a full console game. So, a lot of people who enjoyed prop hunt are probably going to enjoy that.
Oh, yeah.
As far as DLC goes,
that's a cool idea, I think.
As far as DLC goes, I'm in.
Rage 2.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it got leaked. It is unfortunate it got leaked early. I was the most deflated by this. This was early on in the presentation, and there was some bizarre stuff going on. I think that presentation was broken a little bit, or the trailer was having problems.
Wasn't it punk show. There was a band on stage.
Yeah, they brought on Andrew WK, I believe it is. I don't know like what he does. I think he's a singer-songwriter, and he did a song for it. But then when they were showing the gameplay, it seemed pretty broken actually. Like we were noticing some of the hitboxes on the wing stick, the thing he was throwing, weren't correct. Like they were kind of hitting to the side and counting his hits. And at some points they were doing this jump cut between sections of the footage. So like he threw a grenade, and when the grenade exploded, they'd be somewhere else, but it was seamless. At the same time though, however, at the very beginning, it looked like there was some sort of quick jump dodge. So I couldn't tell where that began and where the other thing ended. And it was just really poor in terms of showing you what the game is supposed to play like. Like it felt like honestly that they weren't confident on their gameplay and felt they needed to spice it up with After Effects. But yeah, early Bethesda presentation, we were giving low scores, very low scores until COD came out.
And then it was like after Fallout 76, I feel like when they started going to the mobile stuff, I'm never too excited for mobile stuff again.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing. But that's when I thought, okay, if they're going to end on this, it's going to be a very like disappointing end. And they're like, but no, here's what is it, Starfield?
Yeah, Starfield,
and here's Elder Scrolls, right? So Starfield, they said it's their next generation IP, first new franchise in 25 years. So I'm assuming that can come out in the next 2 to 3 years.
We hope.
And then Elder Scrolls is beyond that, so at least 5 years from now, which means the next Elder Scrolls will be 10 years post-release, like 10 years since Skyrim, basically.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And so the expectation or like the bar will be very high because of how much time they've taken and how much graphics have changed in such like huge amount of that space.
It's gonna be tough for them making Skyrim too. It's gonna be very tough for them.
Yeah. That's Bethesda.
It was one of those things where, like we said, kind of the early half got so many poor points in my book, but the later half did such an effective job and a good job that it averaged out to like that was okay. Yeah. But it was funny. In the end, I felt like if you had told me on a spreadsheet everything that was going to be announced, I wouldn't imagine I would say this was an okay conference. I'd be like, no, that's the best they could have ever done. But they could have been a lot more effective with how they showed it. It was all because
of God Howard. God Howard.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah. His charisma, really, Todd Howard wins E3 alone. But
oh, geez, really?
Oh yeah,
that far, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just him as an isolated portion. Yeah. Let me tell you, it's a fight. Him versus Microsoft. Him alone versus Microsoft is a fight. But I think I don't know who wins that fight. But let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to mention one last quick thing for Bethesda is that they have Young's Blood, which is the new Wolfenstein game.
Yeah. Right. You mean they put out everything? They were like, hey, what do we have?
2 Wolfensteins, Young Blood and a VR game.
Yes, VR Cyber Pilot.
Which supposedly is you hack Nazis, which cool, great.
Yeah, hack Nazis, okay.
Sounds right. Nazis bad, we can hack them, good. Okay. Probably the next one I'd like to pitch forward is Square Enix.
Yep.
Squeenix.
Squeenix. Thank you. I know them as Squaresoft, but you know that, or not Squaresoft, just Square.
And then Squaresoft, and then Square Enix.
So I think there'll be some disagreement only because I don't think I have as much of a relationship with Square Enix games as Cam might have. All I am really excited for, I never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games, but I know everybody is really excited for it.
I wasn't even excited for Kingdom Hearts.
It's disappointing. It was disappointing that they used the same trailer that they showed at the Microsoft conference.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they showed another trailer, I think it was a Sony conference.
Yes.
Where they actually showed new material, which I feel like they should have done during theirs. The only one I was really excited for was the Tomb Raider game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because
right, Laura needs to become the Tomb Raider for the third time in the series. Why isn't she the Tomb Raider yet?
I have no idea, but I enjoyed the first 2 games. They played beautifully.
Well, she is the Tomb Raider. You're gonna see her shadow. Like that means winter is gonna be ending early.
Tomb Raider. She still has to. It's the tagline of the game. She has to become the Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
just like in the first one, in the second one.
Well, they say it takes 10,000 hours to become a supreme professional in a given skill. We've only gotten about 50, 60 hours in, so we need about 2,000 more games to go.
Yeah, but overall, Square Enix, I feel like this is my most divisive in how I was ranking it compared to other people, because everybody said Square Enix didn't do a good job, and I super disagree, because, it's a thing of expectations and a thing of, I guess, what you're looking for. And in terms of effectiveness of showcasing games, Square Enix is up there with Microsoft, because both of them, out of everybody else, both of them decided, okay, you know what, we're going to go game to game to game, trailer to trailer, which E3 is a game show. You should be showing off your games. That's the most effective way to do it. And they didn't waste our time. It was 25 minutes. That's what they had. They announced 2 new IPs in the midst of doing so and showed off all their current game. We had a deeper dive into Just Cause 4. It's unfortunate that that trailer did air at Microsoft, so I give the points to Microsoft there. Ooh. But I'm personally, it doesn't matter, but I'm not personally too big on Kingdom Hearts 3. But, even besides that, the fact that we had 2 new IP announcements, the fact that they showed off a bunch of gameplay, were very effective in the use of their time. They respected our time is the best way to say it. I put them very high. I gave them like a B+.
Square Enix is probably the best example of a mainstream catering to a niche audience, because they have so many things where, some people love Dragon Quest, some people love Final Fantasy, some people love Just Cause, some people love Kingdom Hearts. Not everybody loves all of Square Enix's works or, the stuff that they're publishing, but they have at least one group, that loves each and every single, different title. For me, for example, I love Final Fantasy for the most part. However, I wouldn't touch Just Cause before, just because it doesn't interest me as much. No. And Kingdom Hearts 3, they can have any money that they want, that I can give them a direct deposit.
So Kingdom Hearts 3 won E3, unfortunately, as a game, like in terms of sole game. I'll put it this way, right? The way to determine, at least for the majority audience, the way to determine who wins E3, in my opinion, is who is hyped the most, what gets talked about the most. And in terms of all the metrics among Twitter, among Facebook, among so many other places, Kingdom Hearts 3 was the most talked about game at E3.
Which is surprising to me, honestly. But, in the end,
Smash was second. Yeah, it does make sense. Me, like Kingdom Hearts 3, I played 1 and 2, and I enjoyed them, but I missed out on like the 6 other side games you need to get to understand
6 other ones? You mean Birth by Sleep, or, 365 divided by 2 days?
And Dream Drop Distance, and Recoded, and Chain of Memories, and then the 0.2, what was that other one?
Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Remix Plus.
But there's 0.2 as well. There's a 0.2 as well.
0.2, pardon me.
There's both, because the 2.8 and the 0.2 are supposed to combine to make 3.
Even a trading card, I believe, at one point.
There was that Chain of Memories was, I believe, used a trading card fighting system.
Well, yeah, it did. I think there might be like a real life trading card that are collectible. Yeah.
Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I gave Square Enix a lot of points because they were very effective in the use of their time, and they showed off Babylon's Fall, which is a new IP with Platinum Games, which Platinum, one of my favorite developers, but Platinum recently worked on Nier Automata with Square Enix. So, I'm in. I'm 100% in for that. And then The Quiet Man was the other new IP, which looked like it was going to be more in the vein.
It was a weird trailer. That was a really weird trailer. But it's a good idea.
We'll see what it is.
It's an action game based around Deathman. And I can only imagine visually what that would look like, because it would have to be heavy on the visuals to tell people what to do and where to go.
Yeah, they're probably pushing, they're probably using their Deus Ex, their Tomb Raider, and their Sleeping Dogs experience to make this, is what I think, because it's likely going to be like a more over the shoulder, maybe 3D brawler type game.
Right. Yeah. I also want to bring up the fact of Captain Spirit.
Yes, they showed
a spin-off game for Life is Strange.
Yeah, they showed this at Microsoft as well, and it's interesting because it comes out June 26th and it's completely free, and it takes place in the Life is Strange universe.
Yeah,
they were like, completely free experience. Clearly, they want to get more people in for season 2. Cool idea.
Yeah.
I asked this before with my friend. Do we have any information as to where this takes place into the storyline that is Life is Strange?
All they said really was that it took place, I think, prior to season 2, and that some characters might be in season 2. They were pretty vague about it, but I think they're giving they kind of seem to be giving the implication, as well as how much they pushed it, that you should probably play this if you're going to play 2. That's why it's free. So
fair enough.
It seemed to be that implication.
So overall, Square Enix, okay, good.
Yeah, I gave them good points. They were third for me, so
better than EA.
Yeah.
Much better than EA. It was so me and Cam were talking about this a little bit before. I like E3 because I like fanfare. I like the drama. I like the swing of it. So it was just strange that there was no presentation for me. There were no actual people, and then it was just a 25-minute back-to-back trailers. But
please enjoy our show, and then just
but as Cam said, in terms of putting out games, they did their job. They told us what games are coming, and which is a fair point, and I understand that.
And you have to understand too. I mean, so real people, they're not video games, and there's just You know?
No, yeah.
When something's not video games, how am I supposed to relate to it?
That's true. But I would want to sit down and just bask in the glory of God Howard one day. And just I would sit through a Bethesda conference for God Howard.
Well, Todd Howard is video games. As a person, he is video games, but not so many people are video games. So just had to clarification.
Is he Kevin Butler though?
That's not video games.
Kevin Butler is not video games?
I don't think so.
Kevin Butler was the pseudo PR team of Sony.
I don't think he's video games.
Oh man, you're breaking my heart here. He is greatness awaiting.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
Are we talking that weird PS3 advertising campaign period of time? Is that where we're in? Or is it earlier?
He might have been totally during that time. Oh yeah, Kevin Butler was probably my favorite mascot for the entire, especially during E3. Like I think Reggie slowly overtook it alongside, Jack. But he was definitely the guy that was quick to talk smack about, all you kids like to waggle a stick and play tennis nowadays, huh? Well, we got something new. It's called the Vita. And, obviously that didn't go out well. And then a couple months later, it's like,
now I like him.
And now we like waggling sticks. So here's PS Move.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was a good steamroll, but...
I'm sorry. I like to mention Kevin Butler every chance I get because I love his personality, even though I learned quickly into my history learning of him that he is not a real character. He is an actor played Kevin Butler, and I thought that was interesting. The next probably thing we should, Ubisoft. Should we talk about Ubisoft?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. I mean, do we want to go for the big heavy hitter, or do we want to go for the little stuff?
I really only have a few things to say really about Ubisoft. I gave them, they didn't do as poor a job as EA, but I did put them lower in my scoring just because of the amount of talking they did rather than showing games. The amount of, I always feel the live performances are relatively pointless. That doesn't tell us anything about the game. That doesn't, I don't know who it's for necessarily.
You must have loved Sony then.
Well, I didn't. No, I really didn't. And Sony for other problems as well. Sony had a few problems, but Ubisoft, they did show off. I think that in terms of a trailer, right? In terms of announcing a game, Trials, the new Trials game, Trials Rising, was probably one of the more effective trailers I saw in terms of showcasing how the game works, talking about it for just a brief little bit so you can understand what they did for this game versus the others. And as a whole announcement, Trials did a wonderful job. I think that Assassin's Creed Odyssey also did a pretty good job there as well. I'm pretty excited for that. But other than that, I spent a little too much time on talking, I felt. And I saw Rabbids on screen, so minus 10 points because I had to see Rabbids on screen.
Right.
Oh, come on.
Cam has the weird thing about Rabbids.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't, you
I
have
hate
the weird thing
Minions.
about
They're worse than Minions. They're worse than Minions.
They're not worse than Minions, mine. Come on.
Minions try and talk. Rabbids just scream. That's all they do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Isn't it so wonderful? I love it. I don't.
They do try to talk. They just talk gibberish,
and they scream,
and they scream usually, especially when they're in pain or if they're triggered, as the original game would allow it.
My friends always poke fun at me for it, so I was sitting next to them right during the conference, and I was crossing my arms. And when Rabbids came up, I was like, guys, if they start screaming, I'm going to scream in your face so loud. Like, if you're going to poke me, I'm going to get you with this, man. You want to see how bad it is? I'll show you how bad it is.
Look, there is only one Rabbids game that I'm willing to play, and that is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And it was such a good game, and that's what it was for. So I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about, right? For the Donkey Kong DLC?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't blame you. Don't like any of the Rayman-related Rabbids games, but I really liked that game, so you knocking it down just because they wanted, to portray their success with their Nintendo matchup.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it's a good game, but I'm contractually not allowed to say that Rabbids are good. So,
okay,
it's part of the contract.
Ubisoft was second most cringiest for me.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Not in terms of cringy, but just
the cringy, the peak cringiness of that show was when the one guy slammed himself down onto a podium and
that was the best part. That was the best part. What are you talking about?
No, I was.
I'm super in. I'm not even joking. That was the best part of the whole presentation.
Okay, agree to disagree. We can agree to disagree.
You don't want your dudes on stage just destroying podiums left and right for no apparent reason. It's super great.
Skull and Bones. I'm really excited for Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
It looks like gameplay looks like a carbon copy of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and the naval fights were great. I enjoyed it. Assassin's Creed's Black Flag is the last Assassin's Creed I played and was the most fun I had. Here's my thing with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, though. He or she is not an assassin anymore.
Yeah, good.
Spartan.
Great.
Oh, no, we'll have to do something new and different. This is terrible.
Which is fantastic, but it bothers me
that it's still called
that it's called Assassin's Creed.
No, I'm of the opinion they should just drop Assassin's Creed. Like, they do it because of brand, but they should honestly just drop it and make historical ARPGs. Like, just drop it. Like, you're doing something that's cool, you know, at least in terms of you design the architecture very well, the world's very well. You should just do that and do historical stuff and just forget about the Assassin versus Templar ridiculousness. Just do it.
Yeah.
And this also, too, just real quick, I mean, this also, in Assassin's Creed Origins, this is like pre even Assassins and Templars, because you see the true origins in Origins. So this is before that, meaning that Assassins and Templars shouldn't even be part of the game as far as we're concerned. So it's really just might not.
I think it's like what do you call it? X-Men Days of Future Past. They're just trying to rewrite their own mistakes because The Last Stand should not have existed. It was just a bad movie. Yeah, Assassin's, it looks good. I really want to play Origins. I still haven't gotten around to that because it got decent reviews, and I think they did a good job with taking a break and giving them time for Origins. But I'm disappointed that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming out less than a year since Assassin's Creed Origins, and I don't want them to get caught up in that routine again, because the first two Assassin's Creed games were great, and then when they started turning them out, like, you know, when
it became yearly, it became a problem. Yeah. But, you know, it's really weird, too, because they've been saying some things that I think are half marketing and half, like, truthful, which is they've claimed that they've been making this for 3 or 4 years. And what I think happened, if you look at the game, it looks like at least 70% of the movement combat system is based off Origins. So what I'm thinking is they probably made that engine. They probably, like, developed that and were co-developing parts of the games and are now considering part of the Origins development part of the 4 years they were making Odyssey. Because,
right. Because now they just technically have to rewrite, redo the art. Add like script, quests, add a few more features, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a new game.
And speaking of features, they added romance. So
which I think is an interesting way to do things now. So there's a tweet I saw that this is the E3 for everybody, because you have lots of, you know, now everybody's getting represented. You have a lot of same-sex relationship options, which I think is I want to take away like wholesome stuff, and this is one of those wholesome things that you can start taking away from video games, where when things are now more relatable. And so I think that's great. How it plays out, I don't know. I want
to point out,
sorry,
that Anthem not having romance options.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just like romance options. I'm down with everything. Let's do it. But
let's say game of the year, if you add romance options, anything goes, please.
Then the Division 2, which is going to be good, I think.
I feel that it's unfortunate that Microsoft got to show off that extended gameplay for it. And I would have liked if that was at Ubisoft more than Microsoft, because I think, honestly, it was one of the things that kept Microsoft's presentation from being near perfect, only because it dragged on a little long, and it would have fit better at Ubisoft's compared to the other things that were at Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah.
Be good and or beyond good and evil too.
Yeah. It's still very early, clearly. It's still very, very early, clearly.
But is it too early? Because they've been talking about this game since 2008.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? So they've been talking about trying to do it. Clearly, they didn't actually get anything on the ground until last year, and so now all they have is like pre-alpha stuff. And there was pre-alpha leaked footage probably about 6 months ago that showed more than what they showed at E3. So I don't know. Might be, you know, it's probably gonna take a while. It might even be on the next generation of consoles. There's a few games actually. There's a few games this year we saw that are starting to give the impression they might be on the next generation of consoles. So
I really don't have much to say beyond it, or beyond the fact, you know, I thought it was cool that they are doing a new system of customization, almost maybe not Spore-like to the level of Spore, because basically they got clones that are made of crossbred with certain animals, such as you know, gorillas and whatnot, and it gives you a interesting Spore-like level of you know, having a unique character, I guess would be, you know. and then immediately turn into piracy. However, it is not something that interested me. Alongside that, I would like to also point out that the Crew 2 and the Division 2.
Yep. Yeah, so Crew 2 was weird because I swear that this is out already, or at least it's been shown for like 2 previous E3s or something like that. It was one of those games I was like, wait, isn't that done? Why isn't that done yet? So that just wasn't jiving with me personally. But in terms of the Crew itself, I know basically the premise is you can seamlessly switch between all the different modes of fun transportation between land, sea, and air that you want to. But I'm just amazed it isn't out yet because I swore I've seen it at like 2 previous E3s.
Yeah, it's been definitely talked about a lot, but obviously, like, they're trying to keep the hype level at, from plateauing back down. But obviously,
yeah, speaking of that, Skull and Bones had that problem for us, at least, where when they announced Skull and Bones last year, we were all very excited for it. Then they didn't follow up on it at all until right now. But this did rekindle the hype, but you can only do that for so long. Like, it's very important they get that out now.
I mean, to be fair, Skull and Bones was putting itself into the same slot as Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, which it's going to be a better Sea of Thieves now, but...
Well, if you want to say that, yes, sure.
Debatable. No, it's a different Sea of Thieves. You have Sea of Thieves, which is for a more casual gamer just want to relax, whereas Skull and Bones is more hardcore and you've got objectives and stuff to do.
Yeah, I think the big failing, although I like, yes, different, but I think that in terms of like core gameplay design, Sea of Thieves kind of failed with its goals because what you managed to do is created a sandbox world without putting any mechanics behind it. In terms of there's no reason to play because there's no sort of progression unless you're just doing it for sandbox fun. But then you eventually get tired of that.
Or if you're like Nick and you love sinking ships and you just want to murder people in their spawn point.
But at least with Sea of Thieves, it wasn't a No Man's Lie situation. They weren't hiding anything.
No, they weren't lying.
No, which is at least something to be grateful for. The price point is definitely an issue, but at least now that they're giving us roadmaps, they're telling us what's going to be happening, what they're adding. So I think I told Tyler this. Sea of Thieves will probably be worth it at the end of the year.
Yes, I think that No Man's Sky is a good comparison, but not because of what it was like at launch, but what it'll be like in the end, where No Man's Sky did redeem itself by adding a bunch of different modes. I think Sea of Thieves will do the same. It's just troublesome what they decided to launch with. That's going to be mitigated by the fact that Games Pass exists because it's perfect for that service. So they probably won't see a significant drop off. But yeah,
I think Sea of Thieves was made for the Game Pass.
Really, it feels that way.
Like they put out like, all right, we have all of this working, we're going to keep adding stuff in, but we want to promote the Game Pass, let's just put it out.
Also no ship customization, so
no change in the sales.
Why? But yeah, but you can in Skull and Bones, so hey.
You can customize your ship though
in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you can change the hull. Since launch you can change the hull, the sails.
Oh wait, cosmetic changes, right? Not actual.
No, it's all cosmetic.
No, sorry, I'm referring to
everything's 100% cosmetic. Honestly, in the long run, it's more like a gold sink than anything.
Yeah, I was more referring to being able to change the different loadouts on your ship and the weapons and stuff.
No.
Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, what else?
I mean, that's pretty much Ubisoft in a nutshell. And unless you want to talk about any other publishers,
let's sink our teeth in.
Right into the big three. What's up?
Devolver Digital.
Ah, yes, thank you. Almost forgot.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't want to bring it up because that's not my field, but go right ahead. You do your thing.
I will be honest. I don't think I've played any of Devolver Digital's games. Really? And after I saw that presentation, I looked up their previous year's presentations, and legendary is the only word I have. Legendary. They're insane. And
did you watch all 12 hours of last year's?
I didn't watch all. I couldn't get through the whole thing.
I did.
2 games that they announced, or 3 games that they announced, they all look fun. I know they made Hotline Miami and the Serious Sam games. Those are the 2 games that they mainly make.
Yeah, so they've been moving a lot into publishing these days. So there's a careful distinction here, because in terms of actually making the games, Devolver only makes a few of these and publishes the rest from other smaller indie teams. They're more of a publisher now. So even Hotline Miami was actually published by them rather than straight developed. But I didn't even know that until like a week ago when I looked it up, because I thought the same thing. They're so inseparable name wise. Right. But yeah, they Scum, which is, I actually saw Scum at PAX East. They announced Scum, which is their Battle Royale version. Yeah. With systems that are too complicated. They didn't show this off in the trailer, but Scum has systems that are like so deep that you're almost worried, where it's like there's a BMI indicator and there's like blood sugar levels and stuff like that. Like it's ridiculous. It's almost too much. But yeah, and then the big fun thing they did, if you want to take the fun.
What was the loot box coin?
Yeah, loot box coin.
The double meta super self-aware masterful
coins.
It's really great. I think it's masterful, right? Because there's two levels to it where they announced this thing called loot box coin, which is a thing that you could buy. And the joke was we're making fun of, they always make fun of the industry and themselves and players. So they're making fun of consumers for buying loot boxes by announcing loot box coin. And they're like, you'll buy it. You don't know the value. You can't use it for anything, but you'll still buy it. And it's funny.
So secure that even the founder doesn't even know how much it's worth.
And it fluctuates in price wildly for no apparent reason. And the funny thing was, these were an actual thing you could buy on their site, right?
They're physical coins, physical big discs that you can get shipped to your house.
So there are two levels, because the first level is they're making fun of people buy loot boxes. But then if you buy the loot box coin, you're also being made fun of because you just gave them $100 odd for no reason. And they're
the
also
price actually fluctuated every hour. It went between $100 and $150 and it changed randomly.
So they're also laughing at you if you bought loot box coin. So it's pretty double. It's like there's two levels to it, and it's really, really good.
Either way, you gave them money, and that's all they care about.
Pretty much. So they win in the end, and they win while looking like they're. It's funny because they win while looking out. They're looking like they're pointing out a criticism of the industry. Is what they managed to pull off. So
yeah.
Very true. People could buy into the joke. Do we have any idea how much they probably made doing something like that?
I know it's sold out. I don't know how many they had.
Sold out. I have no idea what their stock was like, but let's assume they had a few thousand.
A virtual limit?
No, it's a physical coin.
No, it's a physical coin.
Oh, okay.
So you'll pay $150 for a physical coin about that big that has no value whatsoever, and they'll ship it to your house. And it's sold out. Let's assume they only had 1,000. 150 times 1,000 is a lot.
Yeah, they still made money off of it. So I'm sure they'll use that money to publish some other random indie game or port something else from 2004 that everyone forgot about.
Right, Metal Gear, Metal Wolf Chaos.
Metal Wolf Chaos XD. This is crazy to me because the last time I heard about Metal Wolf Chaos, I knew about this game from I heard about it in 2011. It was so many years ago that I heard about it. No one talked about it since. It was a Japan-only From Software game from 2004 where you played as the president of the United States in a mech suit fighting your vice president.
Nation.
Yeah, because your vice president's a traitor. And you fight him, who's also in a mech suit. And the voice acting is really, really, really just over the top and not great. And it's just it's so weird that they went and found this and decided to make it now, and remaster it now and actually port it.
I'm all for it.
Me too.
I really want to play this game.
Yeah, it's great, but it's just so weird how they found out. I have no idea. I can only imagine that somebody there just knew about it for some reason. Was like, guys, we should remaster Metal Wolf Chaos, and they're like, what? And then they find out what it is, and they're like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, I mean, part of it is probably also how popular Japanese games are becoming. Not that they never were. Not that they never were, but to the extent where Japanese developers we should probably start seriously thinking about, sending it over to the West.
A game from 2004.
But a game from 2004 is a bit much.
It was crazy too because it was an exclusive to the Xbox in Japan. Where I don't know how much you guys know about Xbox in Japan, but they actually sell in the single digits weekly sometimes.
Yes,
we're talking Xbox One sales in Japan. We're talking they sold 20 units this week compared to PlayStation selling a few thousand every week. Yeah. It's actually absurd how little Japan cares about the Xbox One and Xbox in general. So it's really impressive that this is now an Xbox
Japanese only Xbox game is getting a remaster with 2003 what's the word emoticon added to it at the end.
Yeah, that's true. XD at the end. Yeah, so that was crazy. I refuse to give Devolver a grade because they're always just doing whatever. So they're an outlier.
I just want to confirm the XD is supposed to be an emoticon then, right?
I have no idea. I think it's just I think XD for insanity, revamped, I guess. I don't know.
They just put it on. There's no reason.
The only other thing I can cross-reference this to is a GameCube game called Pokemon Coliseum XD or something like that. Gale of Darkness.
Yeah.
And so that's what I originally thought. I saw XD. I'm like, oh boy, an emoticon game. This is going to be fun. But then, once we talked about it a little bit more serious, I'm like, okay, I don't know what the extra darkness. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird because I've seen XD being used a couple places in Japanese games as a sort of ultimate version name. Yeah. It's kind of like DX, kind of like DX Director's Cut for like Sonic Adventure, where I know Guilty Gear uses Xrd, and I know a lot of other things use that sort of. It's a very Japanese thing to do, to have that end word or letter that's like, oh, it's the advanced version.
Kiwami.
It's like Kiwami or that sort of thing, which I'm pretty sure Kiwami just stands for triumphant or something like that. In translation, but
translated directly to Japanese, I believe it literally means extreme.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, same thing, I guess you could say, triumphant extreme.
Yeah, I've always seen it translated as triumphant when I've seen it other places. Okay. But where I saw it other places, it could have been a contextual use of it to make it triumphant, because it would have made more sense.
Different prefectures.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Regardless, it was, that's an announcement and a half. So there you go. But let's do the bigs.
Big stuff now.
Big stuff. Do we want to do Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo? I don't want to chip my 2 cents in here, but I kind of want to do it in order.
All right, let's do it in order.
So the big mama first one right here would be Microsoft with Xbox One.
I screamed.
It ended when Microsoft ended. All my friends and I looked at each other and basically said, "No one's going to beat that. That's the best presentation this year. No one's."
It was such a.
Yeah, it was near perfect. It was near perfect.
When they showed Master Chief, I was so happy. I don't care that we don't have a date, but
what it is,
confirmation, or what it is. There's so much speculation about it being open world, that they had to design a new engine for this, that it's going to be on the next gen of console. I don't care. Mm-hmm. They confirmed it, and that's enough for me to keep me over until next year.
It wasn't even that for me. The thing about Microsoft is, like I said, we ranked the presentation very highly. So Microsoft came out there, and in an hour and 40 minutes, they showed off 50 games, like game trailer to game trailer, announced studio acquisitions for enormous large things, showing that they're investing in their future, and also announced a commitment to be the strongest console going forward for the next generation. Yeah. It was probably the strongest thing you could have done out of announcing Fable 4 at the end. It would have been perfect if they had done that, because we know it's being made now.
But, we talked about this previous episodes. I think Microsoft is starting to take this seriously.
Well,
is that what's happening?
It's weird because here's the progression, right? Microsoft always has good conferences. We've given them the win, my friends and I, a few other years as well. But Phil Spencer, who was the boss of Xbox, got promoted to a vice president of Microsoft because of his work there. So he has more influence now, and he likely used that to court even more investment in their console business. So it looks like going forward now, Phil Spencer's saying like, oh no, we're doing a thing. We're making it happen. And they couldn't have really, there's only a couple things they could have done to make this even more perfect than it already was. I mean, let's be real. Like, we talk about the amount of games they showed. They also, funny enough, showed off the most exclusive games on their platforms.
Yeah.
Out of all the conferences, I went and crunched the numbers afterwards, and they beat everybody for exclusives.
Yeah. And they have to. I hate that exclusivity is a thing, but they have to if they want
to. World exclusive.
Yeah. And not only now, but they also have the best version of these games because of One X and PC. Of course.
And they confirmed, or at least mentioned, that they're working on the next gen.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that was such an announcement out of left field, because it was a commitment. It wasn't even an announcement we're working on the next generation of consoles. It was an announcement that Xbox intends to be the strongest in the next generation as well, power-wise. And they're saying like, what happened this time will not happen again.
We're about to be hit up with 32 teraflops in the next generation.
And
all those teraflops.
And it sounds like it's coming out. I think I do think Sony's going to move up their timetable based on what I saw at E3. I think we're getting both of them 2020, Xbox and PS5.
That seems realistic.
I think they're going to be forced. I think Sony's being forced a little bit to move up their timetable. Yeah. I also think a couple of the games at Sony's presentation might be for PS5. There's just a couple things.
So 2020 is also when I think Cyberpunk will be released, which I was hyped for. Because...
and Starfield potentially.
And Starfield potentially, yes. Because CD Projekt Red are fantastic developers.
Yes, they are.
I love them. The work that they've done with The Witcher 3, and now the Cyberpunk looks great from all the closed door gameplay.
And when you say fantastic developer, I mean, in this case, we very much mean it, because as a developer, they're fantastic. I mean, the fact that with such a small team, with budget limited compared to other, AAA games, they managed to put out one of what some people consider the best game of all time in The Witcher 3, or at least one of the top.
Yeah.
It's extremely impressive what they've managed to do.
Yeah. So the closed doors gameplay said it's a first-person shooter. It looks finished. So people have said it looks finished. Mm-hmm. And I think what CD Projekt Red are going to try to do is they're gonna put it out on 2 generations of consoles.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too.
I think that's the plan. I think it's ready enough where they'll put it out first on the current generation, and then as soon as the new generation drops, there's gonna be some sort of package deals, at least with the Xbox for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll actually just be like a game. I think it's going to be a Breath of the Wild even, where it's, or Twilight Princess, where it's like, okay, it's out on PS4 and PS5. So if you're not looking to upgrade yet, you can still play it. But, you know, it's there if you want to. And yeah, just as a whole, you know, everything that Microsoft did there was practically the most effective version of what they could do. Even the trailers that they were showing compared to Sony, for example, there were a lot of gameplay in those trailers as opposed to cinematic trailers, despite, you know, the joke being that, you know, Microsoft is, or Microsoft's changed. It's changed in the last few years. But even things like, I mean, we had gameplay in the Devil May Cry trailer, Devil May Cry 5 trailer. We had a little bit of gameplay, at least in-engine footage in Jump Force, which, mind you, I mentioned before how I thought Microsoft was going to have a Japanese presence. I didn't think they were going to steal it from Sony.
Oh, yeah. No, Jump Force was...
I had no idea that... I knew Devil May Cry 5 was happening. I knew it in the heart of hearts.
Oh, yeah, you called it.
I did, but it was called at Sony. I didn't call it at Microsoft. I called it at Sony. And so when I saw it at Microsoft, I was like, what is going on? Like, the money they shelled out for marketing deals on all this stuff was ridiculous.
Again, because we talked about it, they have the capital. It's just that the Xbox team just never really bothered much. Yeah. Right. And so now it's happening.
Yeah, they've decided to start winning, and it's dangerous for everybody involved. For everyone else, it's going to be very dangerous. And even the big thing for me too, because I love this sort of thing, was the studio acquisitions, because they acquired a bunch of studios to now work on first-party games for them, including now they finally acquired the Forza Horizon devs, as well as Ninja Theory, which is I think the big one, because Ninja Theory, the creators of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, the creators of DMC, the reboot of Devil May Cry. They have so much behind them work-wise, and the fact that they're now a first-party developer for Microsoft is super strong.
It's so upsetting, too, because I played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice for the PS4 and loved it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, they're also the people that made the game Heavenly Sword.
They are, yep. Heavenly Sword and a couple other things as well.
Loved Heavenly Sword on the PlayStation 3. You probably can guess where I'm getting with this. So when people were able to play on the Xbox One, I was like, good for them. They should, you know, enjoy and appreciate it. I didn't think they would buy the company.
You know, it's funny, but I haven't talked about it on air much, but it's kind of what I referenced before, where like ever since a couple years back, my friend Sam and I have always been talking about this idea that Microsoft has the capital to just win whenever they want to. They could just buy any publicly traded company, and they could just do it. And so we used to joke that they could buy Bethesda. That was our joke. Is like, they could just buy Bethesda and start winning from that point on.
I'm afraid that they could actually do that.
Yeah, they could. They theoretically could if it was publicly traded. I'm not too sure on Bethesda's status there, because I know the ZeniMax is the holding group, I believe, for that, and that might be, but I don't know. But yeah, no, they just bought Ninja Theory because they could, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool, like why not, right? And that's such a strong move.
It's horrifyingly upsetting though, because like, for what,
Tyler, it's time to get an Xbox. I don't know.
I know, right?
Maybe they're forcing you to buy their system.
I'll give you.
No kidding.
Giving you PS4. If you give me your PS4, Tyler, you can have my Xbox.
I'm not a big fan of the whole exclusivity of games in general. However, I do respect that, you know, big name, you know, console owners are publisher of their own games, and for good reason. They want to convince you to own their console. However, this was a moment to where, like, somebody that delivers to different consoles that I'd like, and I was excited because it started off with, you know, Sony. It's like, oh, it's going to Sony, but I don't like exclusivity. Pass on the, you know, the to the Xbox. So let's be happy here. But then Microsoft was like, glomp, just picked it up and was like, you're ours now.
Yeah. I love it. I love when stuff like this happens. It's when I get most excited about the industry, honestly. So I was freaking.
It freaked me out. Like the very first time I can remember this very specifically would be Minecraft. Played so much of it on the PC, and you know, Mojang is like, "Hey, I'm going to share it with Microsoft." Microsoft's like, "Sure, buddy, we'll play." And you know, it got really popular. You know, they shared it to the PlayStation 4 or PS3. And, you know, they shared it to different platforms. Microsoft was like, "Glomp, it's mine now."
It's what Microsoft does. They will buy things like when they want to get into a new industry, basically, they'll buy things, cannibalize the team, and then use it towards their own ends. This is actually how Xbox and Microsoft got into the console business in the first place. Half of the original Xbox team was the Dreamcast team from Sega, because Sega worked on Windows CE, which was the operating system that the Dreamcast ran with Microsoft. And then when Sega went down, Microsoft swooped right in and bought everything.
Nice.
So they were originally actually even planning for the Xbox to be backwards compatible with the Dreamcast. And that's why you see things like Panzer Dragoon as series move forward on Xbox, and Jet Set as well. But yeah, no, it's what they do. They cannibalize things, they buy them, and then they make them their own.
You pretty much described what I view as the old history of the country of Austria, who is well known of expanding by diplomatic marriage, as well described in Civilization 5. And so just the way you described that, it's a beautiful and horrifying experience of assimilation through the power of money.
Yep.
And I shouldn't be upset, because yes, one day I'll probably get an Xbox One or whatever the new thing is, or maybe it'll come out on Game Pass and I'll get to play it on the PC.
Yep.
Dream big.
Game Pass is a good service. That's my show for the week.
That's the best part about it. Halo Infinite will be on the PC
alongside Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, and
Gears 5.
Yeah, and Gears Tactics.
I actually missed out on that trailer. I haven't caught up on it. I'm not excited just because
it's XCOM Gears, basically, which is cool.
And also, I generally don't really care about spin-off things too much. So, like with the Pokemon games, I just care about the main RPG.
Oh man, you should. Some of the most juicy stuff's in spin-off games.
I really want to try the spin-off games, but it's like when you have financial constraints.
Yeah, understandable.
Right.
I just more mean in general, where I think spin-off games as an idea are my favorite, because it's where they get to experiment without touching and potentially ruining the main series.
No, that's so like I'm all for it, but I'm probably only ever going to buy the main series. And Gears of War has a very special place.
Chain of memories.
So I'm really excited for Gears 5 because it seems like a whole bunch of things changed.
I'm all for it. Spin-off wise, I'm all for it, except for when it's a Funko Pop game.
Listen, can I point out my Funko collection right now?
I might need to die now, I guess. Do I have to die to like stop this from existing? I don't.
No, it's gonna happen.
No, it's so. See that shelf?
It could be. It could be worse. It could be worse, Cam. It could be rabbits.
Would you like to play the Lego game collection of Pokemon Quest with me?
Yes, I would.
As soon as Pokemon Quest comes out on iOS, I'm downloading it.
I would much rather.
With a free liter of bleach, drinkable or no.
I'm just saying, there's not many things I would do. Like, there's not many things I would prefer to do. How to word this, right? I think among the worst things that could possibly happen is Rabbids and Funko Pops.
Yeah, so that's why. So in hindsight, Gears and Funko Pop is not that bad.
No, I think that might be worse. I don't know. It might be worse. I don't know. I have to do some thinking about that. I need to meditate and determine if that's worse or not.
Let's just wait and see what happens.
Nick, it's like suggesting like, oh, you have termites in your house. At least it's not nuclear war.
At least it's not nuclear warfare.
Of all the series to give in to the Funko menace, why was it Gears of War?
Because it needed to be less scary for a wider audience.
Right.
But my point is thinking about that backwards. I'm saying, why was Gears of War the game that they decided to be Funko Pop?
That's what I thought about it. Like, out of all games, they picked Gears of War, which seemed weird.
I don't know.
Right? There's so many other games you could have picked, but I think it's also a sign of Microsoft's buying capability now. All the marketing deals that they made, all the advertising deals. We had, was it Kingdom Hearts first announced? No, Kingdom Hearts, Division 2, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Devil May Cry,
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, as well as Jump Force, which is real crazy because that's Bamco. They had the Near Port as well.
Yeah,
most things, honestly, most of the stuff was just crazy marketing deals getting showed off there first. And for all those things, they're the strongest platform to play it on now. So big case,
Microsoft,
big case to be made there.
They made a statement this year.
Yeah, and they announced a ton of exclusives. Let's be real. And even in terms of Forza Horizon 4 as well was a very effective trailer. I was joking about this, and this when we get into Sony, which is next, I feel this holds true. But I put out a tweet basically saying Sony said they were going to do deep dives on their big 4 games, and despite not being a deep dive, Sony Forza Horizon 4 managed to show more than some of their deep dives did in Sony. And it was much more effective. So Yeah, Microsoft, almost couldn't have asked for a better conference. They did. Okay, so here's the weird thing. They confirmed Fable 4 without announcing it. So there was this weird stuff. So here's what happened, right? Back early this year, January, February, there's a rumor that came out that the Forza Horizon team was going to be making an open world for a new Fable game. And that's a really weird rumor. We're like, okay, that doesn't make much sense. Why would they be doing that? Of course, lo and behold, Forza Horizon 4, and of course, Microsoft buys the studio that makes them, which is, I think, Playground Labs or Playground something, I believe.
Oh, yeah, right. I think we talked about this 2 episodes ago. Like, it's weird that the devs that do Forza
are second party, yeah.
Yeah.
And well, now they're first party. But the point is, clearly what happened is Forza Horizon 4 was made. They bought them up, and now they're putting them on a Fable project. And Phil Spencer said as much on stage. He said, we really like the Forza Horizon team's open worlds. And you'll see a little more of that later with a new title we're working on. And it was a clear Fable 4 announcement. But then he didn't announce it at the end. Yeah. And then he didn't announce it at the end. If he had, that would have been an almost perfect presentation. Or that would have been practically a perfect. I wouldn't see how you could top that in terms of just effectiveness. But yeah, Microsoft, absolute destroyers out there this year. Definitely won almost all aspects. I actually did a breakdown a couple ways. So they won all my scores. And I also broke down, okay, from all the games that were shown, I looked at all the traffic. And from the Microsoft conference, they basically have the most talk about all the games that were at Microsoft, had the most talk about them compared to everybody else. Barely. Bethesda came in second place. Barely. But it was like a matter of a couple thousand in terms of like discussion points across mediums. But Microsoft even won in terms of getting people talking about the games they showed off. So,
okay,
yeah,
sure,
it's very beautiful.
Did you give it a letter grade?
Yeah, I gave it an A. The only reason it wasn't A+ is because I think A+ needs to be perfect, because A+ means you can't go any higher, really. And so only thing I could have done to make it better.
Halo Infinite, it's out now.
No,
that was it for me. I was ready to stop. I was like, I saw Master Chief. I'm like, all right, I'm good to go ahead off. Yeah.
No, because I still want to be reasonable, right? Because you could always say, oh, they'll announce 30 new IPs, but being reasonable, the only thing I could have asked for is a Fable 4 announcement, a little less Division 2, and besides that, it would have been perfect. It would have been absolutely perfect. So yeah, Microsoft, they win. That's what I have to say.
They win, Microsoft. Yep. Well, let's not talk about the other two then. It doesn't need anything to be said. If Microsoft, they're just gonna buy them, okay?
Yeah, they're just gonna buy Sony.
Okay.
But no, what's it called? We should move on to Sony now, though.
Speaking of Sony, yes, that was an interesting start to an E3 presentation.
Sony is buying time, methinks. Sony.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the presentation, but I've heard not very good things about it logistically.
To render a video still, so they sent out the musical director with the closest musical instrument they could find. For about
what do you think happened? Like,
I think
I would imagine all these developers 720. We need 4K,
right? They would have plenty of time to get ready, and so. You would think also they'd have some dry runs, some rehearsals set up for whenever they do these big flashy things.
Yeah, I think I know what happened, and I think what happened is what we actually have seen from Nintendo in previous years. I think that Sony's reaching the end in terms of the PS4. I think they're not ready to announce anything for the future yet because that's still a couple of years out. But I think they're padding for time. They're buying time as much as they can because we had some conjecture what would be the last big PS4 games. Do we know what they are already? And back then I thought maybe not. I think there might be a couple more. But having seen this presentation, I think that these might be the last big PS4 games. I think
games-wise, quality of the games that they announced, fantastic. I watched all the trailers, except for one really questionable trailer. But yeah, I watched bits and pieces of the conference, and it seemed like they were panicked.
Well, the big thing, too, is that Sony promised us deep dives. They said, here was their excuse, right? Their excuse was, oh, we're not going to announce a bunch of stuff and focus on other games because we've decided to do big deep dives. And the first thing I'll say to you is that's a load of bunk. And I guarantee you a couple of years from now, they'll walk back on that completely when they have a bunch to announce. But the fact is they didn't. And what they actually did was, oh, we're going to deep dive on these 4 games. They didn't even really do that. They didn't do that. A deep dive, as far as I'm concerned, is the sort of thing they did with Smash Bros. Nintendo, where you talk about the game's mechanics. You talk about what's in the game. As far as a deep dive goes, Last of Us 2 got there a little bit. Ghost of Tsushima definitely didn't. Death Stranding definitely didn't. And Spider-Man didn't really either. We didn't know half of what was in those games. I came out of Ghost of Tsushima not understanding how the camera worked. And that's not something that a deep dive should
It rotates cam.
No, but it's not something a deep dive should overlook. It was cinematic. I was worried it was Arkham Combat.
Yeah.
But It's not something a deep dive should be, leave you wanting. And so even while saying it was a deep dive, they didn't show off much of the games they said they were focusing on.
Again,
that's heartbreaking.
Sony, it was all closed door demos, and they got great feedback from all the closed door demos, but you need to show some of it sometime at some point.
The other thing too, when it comes to closed door demos, I don't necessarily trust the people playing them half the time, because the thing is, Sony makes very, very journalist bait games where they review well. They review very, very well, because here's the thing, like the thing about journalism and game industry journalism too, is that a lot of people have to spend time to get through these games. So when you're presented a challenge like a 60-hour JRPG, you don't have the crunch time to get through that and write a real review. So when a game is cinematic, when it makes it easy to understand, when it's, short in length, that makes it easy to review, and everybody likes that. So it reviews very well. And Sony's been making very good, like, big review bait games recently in terms of their cinematic template they have going, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, their games are good too. I enjoyed, God of War, I think, is the strongest contender for game of the year right now.
Yep.
But they review very well. So I don't necessarily trust the closed door to tell me what I want to know, at least.
Okay, so you're telling me that you feel like you did not get as much of a deep dive as you would have expected from a game like Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? When I say deep dive, what I expect is to understand the systems that are in the game and not just be shown an extended cinematic trailer with a little bit of in-engine gameplay. Like I said, Forza Horizon 4 did a better job at this than Ghost of Tsushima did, because they talked about their season systems. They talked about how the multiplayer works, how the drop-in, drop-out works. Ghost of Tsushima just showed us a trailer with some gameplay in it.
The gameplay footage of Last of Us Part 2 was over twice the length of the cinema.
Yeah, but they didn't explain what was in there. They showed us how the gameplay worked, yes, but they didn't explain any of the new systems. They didn't go in depth and explain, okay, well, here's how this system works. Here's how, the crafting works in this game and stuff like that. We saw very little of any of that.
So you want Jack Trenton with a laser pointing saying, over here, Ellie pushed the circle button. And
no, I want to be sold. I want to be sold a game, not an experience, not a cinematic experience. That's what I want. And so when I'm being shown a game, I want to see the game. And I did see the game from Last of Us. It wasn't the most egregious. Ghost of Tsushima, well, Death Stranding was the most egregious, but that's a Kojima game, so it's to be expected. But Ghost of Tsushima was the most egregious. But Last of Us still didn't show off as much as I would have wanted it to. It still gave us a scenario, and also I would also hazard a guess that there was a little bit of lying going on there. There's a bit of a liar tax I want to levy against Naughty Dog in general, because their games, when they show them at E3, generally get downgraded. I remember we were promised a lot of things in Last of Us 1 that never made it, in terms of how advanced the AI was and the sort of things it could do. And I saw a lot of that in this trailer that I don't believe will make it to the full game 100%. So I don't trust Naughty Dog fully, but I would have liked them to explain how those things worked and basically what sort of new things you can see in this game, what they added, and that sort of thing. But the fact that they didn't made it not as much as a deep dive as it should have been, in my opinion.
Ghost of Tsushima, what would you have preferred to have seen from this, this trailer or this gameplay footage that would have made it a better game in your eyes?
Well, the thing was, we saw a cinematic experience, not so much a game. We still don't know how the combat system works, how the camera functions. Like, we're debating over on our end, is it Arkham combat? Is it Batman Arkham combat, or is it something else? We don't know, because they didn't tell us that. They didn't show us that. All they showed us was some pretty shots and slices of them attacking and countering, but we don't know, is it a counter-based system, or did they just happen to be perfect parrying the entire time? Like, the meat of it wasn't there. So when I see games like that, I'm basically like, we didn't even know it was an open world until they told us after the conference. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, they said after the conference, yes, it's an open world game. We didn't know that. The gameplay didn't show us that. They just showed us an area. So we're left to assume, and that's not what a deep dive should be, in my opinion.
That's true. But I would like to also say, for the record, it seems almost completely certain that this is going to be an Arkham style battle system with parrying and combat in terms of one-on-one management. I mean, I know it didn't show it because it didn't show buttons for the most part. That's the one thing I noticed, that it doesn't show much button prompt or inputs.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to. What I more mean is that, like, the thing about Arkham Combat isn't showing the buttons. It's more about, is the system based on countering enemy attacks or attacking yourself? And it very well couldn't have been. It very well could have been something else, and still might be, hopefully, because we haven't seen Arkham-like combat big for a while. It's been a few years. So they've really been focusing in on Dark Souls type combat. So everybody going into it likely expected Dark Souls type combat. But we're not sure what it is yet right now. And I'd hope it's not Arkham, but I don't know.
I mean,
probably a fusion of things. The two.
I would hope. Yeah.
It showed exactly what the kind of combat that I guess I would have expected from the game. You either parry, wait for time, defensive fighting and stances, or you can switch into a more offensive front and hope to God that the computer AI doesn't know how to counter your attack.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Arkham combat, though, is that I feel it becomes very monotonous because to be optimal, you have to rely on that counter and that defense. Because if you could just press a button whenever they attack you and defeat the enemy in a cinematic cutscene, that's a lot different than having to deal with spacing and having to deal with, speed and weight of your attacks like you do in a Dark Souls style combat game, basically.
Well, not that I want to put you on edge here. Now it feels like instead of saying that we don't understand what kind of combat style it's offering, now you're switching to this is a boring kind that we know about.
Well, that's because you were just talking about Arkham style combat. I'm just commenting on that. I still don't know if the game is or not, but what I'm saying is I would like to know.
Well, is there anything that you did enjoy about the game?
I mean, it looks beautiful.
The idea that you're able to look for almost a mile out without much need for a pop-out?
Yeah, like I said, no, it does look beautiful, but like Sony focuses so much on their cinematic aspects, and they need to make sure that they're still selling a game in the end, which is the big problem I felt like they had these last couple of years. So like it was nice. God of War, God of War is a great example actually, because God of War had incredibly strong gameplay that they could have leaned on in their advertisements, but didn't. They decided to lean in more on the cinematic aspect so that when we got the game, we didn't know how fleshed out the system would be. We had to kind of just hope and rely on, the hope that they designed a good game there, but it ends up being wonderful. So if they're confident in their system, they should show it off. That's the opinion I have, especially when they say they're going to focus on a game. I wouldn't have been, there's the thing, right? It's about expectations and about if Sony met their own goal. Because, if Microsoft came out and said, oh, we're going to deep dive on Halo, we're going to deep dive on Forza Horizon 4 and Gears of War 5, right? If they said that, then I would have given them less points because they didn't meet their goal. But Sony said they're going to focus on these 4 games and they didn't meet their goal, in my opinion. So that's why I'm not giving them the points for that, is because they didn't set out to achieve, they didn't achieve the thing they wanted to, basically.
I guess in the end, you'd have to try to figure out with some kind of solidarity what constitutes a deep dive. Is it 10 minutes of footage that gives you a slice of what the game's going to be like? Or is it active sitting down and talking about the nitty gritty details, what this game's going to be about, what it's going to have to offer, what should you expect when you start this game?
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, a deep dive, I'd kind of go back to what they've said before, too, in terms of Sony, because they called it a deep dive this year, but it wasn't anything very different from things they've done in the past when they didn't call that a deep dive.
That's true.
It seemed like they were focusing in on it to try and buy time, to try and, like, lower everyone's expectations ahead of time, which is fair if they don't have a lot to announce. But it did seem like they were trying to use it as a tool to lower expectations rather than, okay, let's actually focus on these games a ton.
I don't know why I'm trying to defend Sony in any case, considering I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Do we know who actually suggested that this was going to be a deep dive of sorts?
Yeah, so they put it out like 5 times officially before the press conference. They Sean Layton said it right before the conference. They said it in a few press releases beforehand, saying like, guys, there's not going to be a lot of new announcements. Oops, sorry, hit my mic. They're like, we're not going to be a lot of new announcements. We're going to focus on these 4 games in particular, and that's why I kept getting tripped up about what the 4 games were, because I always thought that Days Gone or Red Dead Redemption 2 was part of them, but they weren't ever. And that's another thing. We actually didn't see Red Dead this whole E3.
Yeah, there's a couple of games that like you totally expected to see, but just under the radar gone.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, Sony did announce Neo 2, which is a very small announcement. They just showed a cinematic 30-second thing. Excuse me. But yeah, Neo 2 is coming out. That's great. And they announced something else as well. There was, what was it? No, there were 3 things, I think. Oh, Resident Evil Remake 2, and finally, and then there was one more. Control, thank you, from Remedy. Yes, the people did Alan Wake. Yeah, so they had three new things they showed off, as well as the small trailers they did for other stuff, and the quote-unquote deep dives they did for those 4 games. But overall...
You were loving that term, deep dives, and the lack thereof.
It's what they use, so I'm going to hit them for it. I'm going to give them that punch.
I mean, if you were to take that term away and you were to look at this this conference, what would you say? Did they deliver at least a healthy insight, or... Is it because of that the whole thing that you're looking for the deep cuts that you're being told that you're going to be given. Is that what just crippled your experience with this?
No, I think we saw a reasonable amount of stuff if it wasn't meant to be a deep dive. Like I said, so like for Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, and all that, Spider-Man as well. Death Stranding could have used a little bit more, but it's a Kojima game, and those are weird anyway.
Something.
It wouldn't have been bad. Like, it wouldn't have changed the overall score too much in terms of what we got, because then it still would have been the case where it's like, okay, they did a lot of talking, they did unnecessary performances to pad for time, they announced like 3 new things, but that doesn't make the cut above other people, for example, who are much more effective with their time. But it definitely would have been a better score. It's the fact that they claimed that they were going to go in deep to focus in on these 4 games and then did not do that.
I mean, to be fair, in comparison, like, if Microsoft's closest deep cut that I could think of, of their newest announced game would probably be, for example, Halo Infinite.
I think Forza Horizon was probably the deepest they went, but
okay, I can work with Forza Horizon. It's a bit hard to do that just because of the style of gameplay for the most part. I have a generic glazed eye view over racing and what it can offer, but that doesn't mean everybody has something like that. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to compare it to, say, deep dives, none of the other companies whatsoever said anything about anything like that. They're going to give you healthy cut-in views, but it feels like in terms of trailers and gameplay footage, Sony gave a lot more than almost any other that we've talked so far.
Completely disagree.
Okay.
Sony showed off gameplay only actually at those 4. Death Stranding, we saw some in-engine stuff. Last of Us, we saw about 8 minutes of gameplay. Spider-Man, we saw, I think, like 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. And Ghost of Tsushima, we saw an additional like 5 or 6. But of course, Nintendo was at Smash for 25, 30 minutes. So there's that right there, of course.
Plus the freaking tree.
Yep, Treehouse. But I don't count Treehouse as part of the conference itself. I count the Direct only, really. But they also showed off the mech game for a while. And then Division 2 was over at Microsoft, as so was
Forza Horizon. Of the things that we talked so far, I did not bring up Nintendo.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But yeah, no, Microsoft, what's it called? They showed off Forza Horizon for about 8 minutes. They showed off Division 2 for as well about 8 minutes. They showed off a few other things. Gameplay, if we're talking pure gameplay, including in-engine stuff, they showed off more because they had a longer conference too. An hour and 40 minutes compared to an hour 20. And they just went game to game. They didn't talk about stuff really. But yeah, because every trailer at Microsoft also, a vast majority of them had at least a minute of gameplay, in-engine gameplay in them. So...
Okay. The real topic of the show question is now going to be, why the heck did they bring a banjo into this?
It's the Last of Us theme, dude. They gotta.
Yeah, but they played the guitar for most of the stuff. Why a banjo?
I don't know.
Banjos are cool.
Is this set in the South part of what was left of America now?
Because Sony definitely wants to have close experiences with you, the player, and isn't it all padding for time?
For me, Sony was logistical issues. Yeah. Okay, there was Destiny stuff, so I'm excited. That's it. That was my takeaway. There was some Destiny stuff at the Sony conference.
It was relatively small, though, right?
No, it was enough. It was enough to like enrage the entire community. Wow. Because they killed off one of the main characters. So they killed off one of the races. There are 3 races, 3 playable races. They make no difference to anything. They're just the races. You've got humans, Awokens, the Awoken who are like glowy humans, and you've got the Exo who are basically like androids. You have 3 classes, and you have 3 leaders in game who you go to redeem stuff and get missions from, and so there's one for each class. The Titans is an Awoken, and he's voiced by, I want to say, Lance Reddick.
Oh wow, okay.
I think it's Lance Reddick. Then you have, for the Warlocks, who are like the space cowboys who throw big space magic bombs, you have the lady from Suits, the lawyer woman.
Not anime, I can't help you. I only know Lance Reddick because of, I actually think Lance Reddick was one of the antagonists in Quantum Break, if I'm remembering correctly. So that's why I know.
Gina Torres, that's her name. So Gina Torres voices the Warlock leader, and Nathan Fillion voices the Hunter Vanguard leader. And they killed his character off. Ooh. And Nathan Fillion was the big lead for Destiny 2 at its launch. He was the character, yeah. And so now we have a personal vendetta against whoever killed him off, and more reason to jump back into the game. And they showed us some of the system that the changes, some of the changes they're making. They're changing the weapon system. It's going to be fun again. So if you want now, not even kidding, if you want now, you can run 3 shotguns.
Ooh.
You can run a
I did hear
shotgun,
about this. Yeah.
You can run a secondary shotgun, and you can run a heavy shotgun.
Nice.
Actually,
just real quick, I'll finish up on Destiny because this is post-Destiny stuff. But
yeah, so they're adding a bunch of things. There's a new game mode that's PvE, PvE. Basically, environment, other players, and you do a bunch of stuff. You have objectives, and it's really cool. It's fun. It's 4v4. They showed some of that. People were able to play it at the conference at E3. And they're bringing it to GuardianCon because Bungie officially announced that they're going to be at GuardianCon as Bungie.
Nice.
The devs and community managers have always gone, but never like as Bungie. So now they're going to be there, and they're going to make this new game mode playable. And so I'm really excited, and I'll talk to you guys more about GuardianCon later.
Sure, stay tuned. Yeah. I wanted to jump back real quick to just something at Microsoft. Speaking about characters, or I should say people getting the fan base all riled up, how are you doing with that Aqua reveal, though, Tyler? From Kingdom Hearts 3.
Wait, is that a thing now? I must have missed this. What's going on here?
When Aqua turns around and she has the Xehanort eyes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is true.
Thinking about that.
That happened from Birth by Sleep. Yes, I forgot about that. Why would they freak about that, though? Because didn't she get possessed by Xehanort in Birth by Sleep, or am I missing this?
I never played them, but everyone was treating it like it was the first time because they were all screaming when it got revealed.
I think because it's been 13 years, guys.
That's true. Wait, do we remember what the name of the main characters in Birth by Sleep is?
All right, hold on. I'm going to shoot off some names. It was Ventus?
Yes.
Okay, all right, Ventus.
Well, let's say, you said, what was the name of the character you were talking about that they were freaking about?
Aqua.
Okay.
That's one of the trios. It's Terra, Ventus, and Aqua, I believe.
Either Ventus, I think it might have been Terra, actually, was the one that got possessed.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Okay, so Aqua is, got a clean slate. So I suppose if they're going to be possessed, then yes, I guess that would be some, oh no, we're upset here. Okay, sure.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where in the trailer, she turns around, like Mickey's looking through a darkness wormhole or something, and she turns around and says it's too late, and she has the yellow eyes, and like you could hear people just screaming. Like you could look up the reaction videos; they're really great. People just like crying.
My bad fix.
Yeah, they're like crying, falling over, just losing it over this. They're like, "No, my pure Aqua, how could you?"
My waifu has been tainted.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to jump back to that real quick in terms of characters getting destroyed.
So, but yeah. Is there anything else before Tyler can start fangirling?
I mean, I'll fangirl a little too. I think Nintendo did a good job.
I'm trying to be the stalwart champion for Sony over here as Cam tears them limb from limb.
They deserve it this time.
Death Stranding was weird, guys. That trailer was weird.
Of course it is.
Terrible.
There were Matrix 3 people in the sky. There were shadow people. There was a fetus scanner radar thing.
Yep.
It was weird. There was a delivery man. He just wants to get all these pizzas delivered, but all these shadow people are trying to mess with his day. What's going on?
You let Kojima outside of his box, and now you reap the consequences. It's just what happens.
I love it. Like
what you got. Yeah.
I would. Again, these are one of the games I would buy a PS4 for just because of how weird it looks.
Don't do that, man. Never.
I just because it's so weird, and I want to play it whenever it comes out, whatever it is.
How can I be the stalwart champion of Sony if you're going to try to make this the priority of your PS4 purchase?
No, the priority is the Crash remakes, the Spyro remakes, God of War, then the Kojima game. That's the list officially.
That's an interesting list. Game. And I'll just sneak some JRPGs, some Vita games. I'll sneak them in too, just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not complaining as long as you send them to me for free, please. Cam, thanks.
No problem. No.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, but Sony. Like I said, I think overall I put them right in the middle of the pack in terms of right with Bethesda, where they announced new things, a couple new things. They didn't announce as much as Bethesda or a few other people, but they really fell short on their presentation style, I believe. So I put the middle of the pack.
Okay, fine. I realize I cannot change your mind, no matter how much of this fine wine I drink. So no matter how competitive I'm going to get, I'm either going to start slurring, or you're going to have a good counter argument that I cannot defeat. So I'm going to go back to my childhood home here over at Nintendo.
Nintendo, don't you mean Smash Bros. Conference?
It's a good thing. I will say it's a good thing I don't have to also shred hopes and dreams for Nintendo. So That's a good thing too.
Honestly, that's okay because that's what I'm here for. I wish I was kidding.
So, I gave him second place.
I'm okay. Well, we'll have discussion about that.
All right.
Nintendo started with Super Mario Party.
Well, no, they started with Daemon X Machina. Now, hold your horses. Okay,
I'm sorry, Daemon X Machina.
They started with a new IP. Some of the biggest points that you can give to somebody is starting off your conference with a new IP. Very strong opening.
Yeah, so. the hype crowd, or what do you call a band that starts up for the main show?
A hype man.
Hype man.
So no, that's mostly rap. Like it's it's a hype man, and then in terms of bands, it's you've got an opening band, right?
Cam, what did you think about this game?
I love it. It's right at my wheelhouse, actually. So this is the type of game I love to play the most. You have a very Japanese inspired, mech action game. We don't get many of those anymore. It looks like it was being developed by Marvelous, which Marvelous does have some action experience via Senran Kagura series and other things like that. So, published by Nintendo, new IP for the Switch by Marvelous, with mech action, and actually there's a lot of names behind this. The character designers from Fire Emblem, Awakening and Fates, the mech designer designed some very impressive mechs from the Macross series, from Eureka 7, anime-wise, some other stuff as well, which is escaping me right now. But a very famous mech designer with a famous character designer behind it, I think actually the story writer itself, or the scenario writer, was pretty well known as well. So there's a lot of good names. And it's actually just like, you know what it was? It was the Armored Core team is what it was. Okay, it was all of the names had worked on Armored Core. And so it's really just an Armored Core game without being Armored Core.
I mean, no offense to anybody that loves Armored Core, but say it wasn't. It got updated.
Yeah, but, no, this is right up my alley. That's a day one buy for me.
I'm just kind of concerned because something like that, the last big Super AAA announcements. I guess this isn't maybe a AAA, but the last thing was Labo Labo, and then before that, as far as I can remember, was ARMS. So, when
we're talking about, or when you talk about just big game or AA or just new big game announcements, or
just new taste for Nintendo to offer to their platform.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely varied compared to some of the other stuff they have on there right now. It definitely is a new taste. I'll agree there. But it's a taste I'm happy with, and also just from the start off your direct with a strong new IP. Let's go for it. Good way to start.
I hope it pans out because I am not a big fan of Armored Core. In fact, it left a very sour taste in my mouth, just even hearing about it. Okay, so like I said, Super Mario Party.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody has fine, wonderful comments about it. I talked about it quite a bit with Brandon over the midweek podcast. He seemed very excited by it, and honestly, I have not liked a Mario Party game since the Nintendo 64. So that being said, I know Nick probably hasn't touched too many of these games recently. Cam, did you play these games too much?
Yeah, I've played 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 10, I believe. Or no, 6 and 8, 10, or something like that.
Let's say 8, I believe, came out for the Wii, and 10 came out for the Wii U.
Yeah. So.
I've also never actually really played a Mario game, by the way. I don't know if I ever made that clear.
Oh wow. Okay.
I played the old school side scroller Super Mario, the MS-DOS version. I played that.
Wait, no sarcasm?
No, I'm not joking. I've never Mario is not my thing. I didn't grow up with Mario.
That's a take.
Yeah,
no,
I grew up with Crash Bandicoot. Yeah.
The first first Mario game that I've ever beaten that wasn't a RPG game was Odyssey. So I totally understand you. And I guess Super Mario World. I did play and beat Super Mario World, but Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, any of the original Nintendo Mario games, never touched. Never.
I played Sonic and Mario pretty equally.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm in both camps there, but I was when it came to Super Mario Party, I was as excited as I could be. The thing is, with my rating system, I'm trying to, when I do the rating system, when we rate these games, we try to take back what the game is, and more so, is it new? What did they show gameplay wise? How was the announcement? Was it effective? Because I think that in terms of ranking something, it's unfair for everybody else if your game isn't Smash. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's some games that are just big and more popular and people like that. But in talk, like it's not fair to say to Square Enix, well, you don't have Smash Bros, so you can't do a good job as far as I'm concerned, right? Oh, so I try and like, I don't try and take into consideration for the rankings what they show necessarily, just how they show off, if it's a new thing, if it's an established series, how effective the trailer was, that sort of thing. And as far as Super Mario Party goes, like, personally, I'm as excited as I could be for a new Mario Party, which I'm not too excited. But in terms of just the pure announcement, I think they did a good job because they responded to a lot of fan criticisms. They don't have the cars anymore. And they actually, thank God. They also implemented that new mechanic, which we saw a patent for a couple months back, which is that you can alter the Switch screens and put them together, and it creates a dynamic screen basically for whatever orientation you want. And so they're utilizing this with this game, so you can actually do mini games that way too, which is very neat.
I would like to point out that a lot of times I don't rate multiplayer games like this immediately, or give a conscious rating system of any kind until I get the general vibe of my peers.
Yeah, I try not to, like, when I'm talking about this, I'm trying not to rate the game so much as rate the conference. Like, I can talk about the individual games too as a separate scale, but when I'm rating the conference, it has less to do about, like, it's more did the game function than it is like what game it is and how good it looked.
Totally understood. Mine is much more what would be the term? Subjective more than objective at this point. However, I really like the idea of having a Mario Party game for the Switch.
Yeah,
I was kind of hoping that the people and my peers that that own Nintendo Switches would get hyped up at this kind of game to play with their friends.
I know, at least I think in my realm, it definitely will be that case. I've talked to you before about how much, like, just local ad hoc Switch multiplayer happens via, like, college clubs and that sort of thing. So I'm still going to be going back to my college clubs, even though I've graduated, and I'm sure we'll be playing a bunch there. So
it stinks because for me, I was originally hoping it was Mario Tennis Aces. However, I've been hearing so many complaints about it that it feels like it's going to be dead in the water in terms of being able to play with other people. And Super Mario Party was my next big step. Was okay, people like to have fun, people like to play together. Maybe it's a little long-winded depending on how it goes, because I'm going to be playing Mario Party 2 for the Nintendo 64 the day before my wedding. Apparently that's going to be my bachelor party right there. Is Mario Party 2.
I like it.
It's great. However, a 50-round game could take anywhere up to like 4 hours.
I like it.
So we'll see how that goes. However, my point is, I have absolutely no people talking about this game. Everybody's like, in terms of multiplayer games, it's like Super Smash Brothers. It's like, what about Super Mario Party? It's going to be coming out soon too. It's going to be fun. We can play together. No, I got to beat people up. And it's like, oh, come on.
That is, at least from my perspective personally, the unfortunate thing with an E3 like this is, like, you'll have a great E3. We had a lot of great game announcements, a lot of cool new stuff, a lot of cool smaller stuff as well. But Smash exists and Kingdom Hearts 3 exists, so we won't hear about those things.
It stinks that a game like Super Smash Brothers, which I should be like lauding for at this point, is overshadowing good games like this. And I'm really hoping that when the time comes, when it comes out on October 5th, I can convince some people to say, hey, this is the game you want to play, because Super Smash Brothers interest is going to die down with you fast unless you turn hardcore for this game. Give this game another shot. We can play together. We can have fun. Whether or not that's going to happen is completely up to them, I guess, at this point. It also stinks because a game like Aces is also very heavily dependent if you want to play with friends or whatnot. Same thing with Splatoon. I don't want to play Splatoon by myself. I want to play with a group of friends in my hand. And so if that doesn't happen, this game is going to lose interest for me really quickly.
Yeah, the thing I'm not as dismal about it, only because in the communities I run in, there has been evidence of them multi-classing, basically, where Smash and something like Smash, something like Kart, and something like Mario Party are all able to exist in the same space and switch off, which is something that I've seen personally, like in my college communities and that sort of thing, where every week generally we'll have a party, a Kart, one of them, and a Smash Bros game, at least one of them. And everybody plays a little bit of them, except for the Smash people who exclusively play Smash, but some people will play a little bit of everything.
I would give so much to be able to be a part of that community, man. I would not hesitate.
Come on down.
Yeah, I know, right? Come back to college.
Well, the thing is, we actually have a lot of alumni who just come back because it's that sort of club. So we have like 30-odd-year-old people just hanging out and stuff like that all the time. It's a big club. We have like usually like 50 people. So
it stinks because the last time I tried to be an alumni coming back to something I love, it was the Pokemon trading card game, and so I spent a lot of Mondays beating the snot out of 12-year-olds.
Yeah, I did that too.
So there's that for you. I'd like to also continue by apologizing to Nick because he has absolutely nothing to talk about here. I love you, Nick.
No, I'm not just listening. All I can tell you is that in terms of Nintendo's conference, people really wanted a new Smash Brothers, not a remade Smash 4, was it? I think, and like they didn't want them to do that for the Switch. And Nintendo, I think Nintendo was was an angry like mother, right? Imagine having a bunch of kids. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there? It's like we are there now. Let me shove all of this Smash down your throat for the next 30 minutes. That's all I saw from the conference. Really, that's the only takeaway from it. And they announced everything except Rip Waluigi. Can we get some respect for
that's unfortunate. They killed him too. They just killed him on screen too. That was the best part. It's like not only do you not get Waluigi, you get destroyed. He dies.
I'm getting emotional over here, man. That's terrible. Don't say this kind of crap to me. Like I'm actually kind of upset because if Waluigi was a character that's been asked for a very long time, there are 3 other characters that people have been asking for an extremely long time. The first one is another notorious one, Daisy. The third one is from Donkey Kong Country, K. Rool, the final boss, and of course Ridley from the Samus series.
It was a joke. It was a joke, though,
and it went too far. And guess what? It happened, and now it's real.
Yeah, wow. Honestly, this whole presentation, there was a lot of things that were jokes being made real this entire E3. I mean, Devil May Cry 5, for one, was supposed to never exist. That was ridiculous. The fact that we got Ridley and Smash, and even past this, actually, just a couple days ago, or no, yesterday or earlier today, depends on how you do Japanese time, they announced a Kill la Kill fighting game with Arc System Works, which has been the big joke, the big joke forever.
I would play a Kill la Kill fight.
Well, guess what? It got announced with Arc System Works, so there you go.
Oh boy.
But no, a lot of just stuff that shouldn't have ever existed becoming real. Cyberpunk 2077 as well. We actually got to see it since 2013. Finally, again, there was a lot of dreams being made. New Smash Bros. But yeah, Nintendo's thing is like they come at E3 with a different sort of game plan than everybody else does because they show their stuff throughout the year many different times. So they got like
a light version of what Kojima has in mind. Like, we don't want to go overboard where they don't know what the heck we got, but I want to do something different, just to make people go, what? Yeah.
So I think which is a lot different from most other developers because they have like a constant like communication, regardless of whether it works or whether it's what people want. At least they're still talking about what's happening and what they're doing to some extent.
Right. Yeah, and the thing about it too, right, is like Nintendo doesn't like showing things that are more than a year out. They like showing things within a 6-month period of time, except for Metroid.
Yeah, I was saying like the game that I personally expected to hear quite a bit from, but much like I'm trying to remember what other game you mentioned did not get any foresight at all.
So Red Dead didn't get shown, but in terms of Nintendo, we didn't see Bayonetta 3, we didn't see SMT 5, we didn't see Yoshi, which were all things that were coming potentially soon. So we didn't see anything about those. But what I'm more getting at is they come at it with a game plan of, listen, we like showing things close. In the next 6 months, we have so many other conferences that we do this at, so many other Nintendo Directs. This for them is just another Direct with the Treehouse live stream. So in terms of it, they came into it and they said, hey guys, we're going to spend like most of the time on Smash. And that's what they did. So I'm not going to they achieved their goal. Very much so. So I'm not going to fault them for that, really, because they made their goal. They set it out, and they
want to do a deep dive of Super Smash Brothers, and by golly, they did it.
That's a deep dive, didn't they?
It's enough Smash for the person who doesn't play Smash like me. I don't need to fight Smash now.
Sure, but the funny thing about it too was, despite that, even despite spending 25 minutes of a 45-minute direct on Smash, they still managed to announce like a couple new games and show a bunch of other ones in really short, like, hey, this is still coming. Hey, this is what this is. Hey, this is a new trailer. Like, they still managed to do a bunch of other stuff too. So it was extremely effective. So, you know, I gave Nintendo very high regard for that.
I feel like also in terms of a E3 conference, it might have felt lackluster, but Nintendo doesn't do E3 traditionally, right? Like they had their things throughout the whole year, right? We already knew about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee like a week before, because of their directs.
Yeah.
I mean, I just really can't wait for the day till I get a Switch, and then I can finally play all of these games.
Yeah,
like Fortnite.
Like Fortnite.
Oh, I played. I'm never gonna touch it on the Switch.
I played one game of Fortnite in my entire life on the Switch. Bless you. And it was terrible. I hated it.
Don't put yourself through that, Tyler. Even if you hate the game, at least play it on PC.
Oh yeah.
Please, for the love of God, don't.
Do you think it would be that much better on PC?
Play it on your phone. Play it on phone.
Don't play Fortnite alone. Never play it on your phone. Never.
Play it on mobile.
It was a mistake. I regretted it. I will never do it again. It made my phone overheat, and it was just bad. If you're gonna play Fortnite, though, Tyler, you can play with me.
Nick, if you want to play Fortnite on the PS or not the PS3, gosh, actually, I'd probably be playing better than the Switch. Anyways, if you want to play it on the PC, talk to me after this. We can make something work. I'll work with you.
Okay. It was a big victory for him, though, having Fortnite. Honestly.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Fortnite is just capitalizing. I think Fortnite. Say what you will about battle. Oh, that's the other thing. We didn't get too many battle royales. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited that we didn't get too many battle royales.
The joke I had made was pseudo real. We got a couple, but that joke where I was like, we're all just gonna be standing here with our battle royale jokes, and none are gonna get announced. So we're just gonna be like, wait, and it's almost happened.
God, really? I'm really happy about that.
I think they're learning a little bit.
Cam, did you touch Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
Oh boy, did I! Did I!
Let me rephrase this question.
Did Cam play a JRPG?
Yeah. So, are you excited at all for any more of this DLC coming out?
Yeah, actually. Usually, I don't touch DLC, but you know, if you're going to make a big story DLC, especially in this case, with some of the strongest things about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were the side characters. The villain was very charismatic, and a lot of those other characters were as well, compared to Rex, who's still your little kiddo there. And I'm really interested to see them all in the past, because this takes place well before the actual game. I think even in the order of, I'm not remembering my dates, but it's either hundreds or 1,000 years before.
Oh wow, really? That far back?
No, it's a while back. It might only be hundreds, but I'm trying to remember how things went down when that happened. But no, it's a while back.
Incredibly back.
I watched a bunch of streamers play Xenoboob 2. Looks great.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there? So, DLC announcement. Again, these are one of the games. As soon as I get a Switch, I really want to get all of these Mario games. I want to try Xenoboob. I want to play the Pokemon Core RPG when that comes out. And not to mention, and I feel like I should mention this, otherwise Tyler will virtually reach through the screen and choke me out. Breath of the Wild, obviously, is a game I really want to play.
In terms of the Xeno series and stuff like that, it's like, what's it called? So Xenoblade Chronicles X, right, on the Wii U. That was the best, and don't look into it, because everyone definitely agrees with me. There's no controversy there at all.
None whatsoever. No, sir.
Best, and you shouldn't look into it. You should accept what I'm saying and move on.
You're so full of crap, Cam.
No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Putting everything about what you said about Microsoft and Sony in the question now with that one statement. Okay, Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, looks a little darker. Looks a little darker. Looks like the Warriors models, as far as my eye is concerned. It looks like the models from Fire Emblem Warriors, and it does look a little bit darker. But some of there was some visual issues going on there. I was seeing, at least in terms of like, ooh, that could look a lot better than it did. Yikes, type stuff.
Well, I mean, they didn't offer to do a deep dive on it, so you shouldn't have to worry about that, Cam. Don't worry.
Yeah, hopefully the deep dive will fix everything.
So, how did you feel about the mechanic of technically? You're fighting with a battalion with a general leading instead of just the general being a main character by itself?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to see how it actually plays out because that kind of gets away from what Fire Emblem was doing. Like Fire Emblem meant to be that, yes, because the idea is okay. This one unit on the field clearly isn't a single guy. It's a little small squadron of people. But it's getting more at that point into Advanced Wars territory with how it treats individual units.
Exactly what I said. Man, this is fantastic.
But I'm gonna wait and see on that one. I definitely don't mind it. My first inclination is I don't really care one way or the other, but we'll see if a preference does come out once I play it.
Because when you think about it, in terms of player versus enemy and whatnot, to me it feels almost like Dungeons and Dragons. You're playing as a bunch of heroes. You're slaying stuff that may be also other enemy heroes, but you're also fighting minions and whatnot. It's usually not very large scale or grandiose until the very end.
Yeah.
However, here it seems like almost from the get-go, it's like you have armies you're playing with here.
And reasonably you should, considering what Fire Emblem is. Like that's just not something they've done, but you should have armies,
Yeah, like the fights that should just determine the fate of the world should not be 8 people versus 3 people. It should be hundreds and thousands of people going at it against each other.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple ranks, right? Because there's there's when you beat the other army, that can have a lot of people, but then there's when you fight the big evil dragon every time. And the big evil dragon every time, probably maybe 8 people. You got to have your heroes, but not armies then maybe.
There's one last game I would like to point out for the Nintendo E3 conference is Hollow Knight. A lot of people I've seen on my end have been playing this game so much. However, I feel like it's gone under the radar even faster than Detective Pikachu. Like it's quiet. I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's one of those games where everybody's played it, absolutely swears by it, and they're even to the point of some people saying like all they wanted out of E3 as a whole was Hollow Knight on Switch. Which I feel like you should have a little bit more expectations of the industry. Like, just branch out a little bit. There's a lot to enjoy. But yeah, no, so Hollow Knight's definitely a victory for them. It's nice to have that on there. A lot of people are going to be very pleased by that. But as far as things go, I tend to not focus as much on indie games. There's too much for me to play in terms of, like, if I want to get around, I basically have to make sacrifices, and that sacrifice is usually indie when it comes to playing things.
Okay, fair enough. Nick, any thoughts on your end?
Halo.
Okay, sure.
Halo, Gears, Cyberpunk. Really, Microsoft knocked it out of the park.
Hey, let me ask though real quick about Halo. So, I've played, of course. I actually have 5 downloading right now. I haven't played 5, but I've played all the other Halos. Yeah, I got Games Pass, so I'm like, hey, cool. Okay. Do you happen to have any idea, maybe any inclinations to when this takes place? What this is based on, like what the helmet looks like, the armor, maybe?
No, they confirmed that it is the next step, so it's going to be post after Halo 5.
Okay, so it's after. Okay.
I love the Halo series, and I think it's Microsoft that I have an issue with because they made Halo 5 seem like something it wasn't.
Yeah.
They pooped on the story. Well, the story was not great, but it was made even worse by the false advertising. They made it seem like,
I remember,
Master Chief's he's done something horrible and needs to be hunted down, and you're going to play as this other Spartan, also play as Master Chief, and you're going to be doing bad things, but this other Spartan's going to be doing good things. And really, it's like one fight, somebody yelled Martha, and they hugged it out, and they were best friends now.
Finish the other fight.
Yeah, no, they presented it, I remember, in the advertising, they presented it as a morally gray story. And yeah.
I'll tell you, okay, just give me 2 seconds and I'll show you exactly what I mean by false advertising.
And go. 1,
he's going for something.
2. Oh, he's gone.
He left.
Okay, so he's talking about.
Oh, wow. Is that a poster?
He's going to have to talk.
It's a billboard, one of those things that they use for voting elections.
Did you have somebody's lawn decoration?
I didn't take it out of the lawn. I was at the midnight physical copy launch, and they were giving this away. And I'm like, I'll take it. No. And this is what the advertising was.
Yeah.
Hashtag Team Chief. Hashtag Hunt the Truth.
Oh, no.
It was a load of crap, guys.
Oh, that's terrible. Man, that's unfortunate.
They handed you out lawn signs, like stuff that you use for political reasons, usually, to make an advertisement for Master Chief to hunt the truth. You said Halo 5? That's what it was for?
Yeah, that's for Halo 5, yeah. Halo 5 Guardians. That was the full thing.
On a complete side note, I remember there was a time where I looked up those signs because during the first 3 months of Pokemon Go, everybody was really supportive of whatever team they picked. And this included some people started buying these lawn signs to put on, say, this is a Team Instinct property. Everybody else beware. And so just seeing those signs everywhere on the cars and whatnot, it was interesting.
Oh yeah, and then it died out so quickly.
About 2 months later.
Yeah. What are the Team Mystic is the blue one. You got Team Valor is red.
Yep, and Instinct is yellow.
Okay, so I'm Team Instinct.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry.
I mean, out of all the birds, like Zapdos is the coolest, so I picked Zapdos. That's
you are absolutely right. To be fair, I started off in Team Instinct, but by my 8th account and my my 8th reincarnation, I realized that Valor had the highest chance of winning without being too overpowered, which was Mystic at that point, because it always felt like Mystic was the vast majority.
Same in my area, dude. Yeah. Wow.
And
it's all Mystic in my area too, yeah.
The idea that Team Valor is usually the second biggest, it means I will have a constant chance to claim gyms and whatnot, versus having gyms already claimed, I'll just drop a Pokemon in, which is terrible for experience. So I was thinking, statistically, more experience. I like the color red.
What's it called? So I want to say, actually, so my computer crapped out for about 20 seconds when we were talking about Halo, and then I came back to Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
What happened?
We are Casual Master Quest. We are a podcast that we're trying to cover E3 as overall, and for some reason it quickly divulged my aside about Pokemon Go. And
I leave for a second.
It started as a gaming podcast, and now it's really a Pokemon Go podcast. I think that's what we've evolved into.
I feel like if we made a half-hour to 3-hour long podcast side special of Pokemon Go, we could really go somewhere here.
Yeah, we could. I don't know if I'd want to do it though.
No, like the main goal is you have to record while you're actually going out and playing Pokemon Go. So a lot of windbreaking. Oh, it would not be pretty.
Sounds like a good time.
So before we get on to game releases.
Yeah, E3. Let me just I was happy.
Can we get top 3 most excited games of E3?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's super do that. There's a lot of exciting.
But they'd have to be games that you'd be able to play in like the next year. So I'm not gonna. That way, I can eliminate like talking just about Halo Infinite and The Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Yeah. So I think there's a lot I'm excited for, but I'm leaning more towards I'm most interested in like the new Japanese like AA type games. So like Devil May Cry 5's definitely top for me, followed probably by Babylon's Fall, which is the Platinum game, and then maybe what's it called? Maybe Daemon Ex Machina would be my 3. If not, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which was the new From Software game at Microsoft. So I've lessened on that though, because it turns out it's not an RPG. It's actually just a character action game. So I would have preferred if it was, but still like it, still down. So probably those would be my top 3.
Was that not the VR title they announced, or
no? That was something Cine, something Cine. Oh boy,
it's okay. I don't expect you to know Japanese.
You should.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It wasn't even Japanese. The name was like a French name. There was accents on it, but I'm forgetting what it was.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah,
it was funny because they announced it. That was a funny thing. They ended the conference and then announced it. So they like, that's it for the conference. Also, we have a new game announcement. And I was like, what? Hold on. So that was at Sony too. So that was a new VR game from FromSoft.
Just looked it up, and I don't think I could pronounce it. Like Deracine.
Deracine, yeah. It was weird because they called it Decine is how it was pronounced, but I was like, there's an R and an A there. I don't know where those went.
There are consonants that need to be put back in.
Yeah, need to be talked about.
What about you, Nick? What would be the top 3 games that you are excited to be released this year?
I really enjoyed Fallout 76.
Okay.
I think it'll be the first Fallout game that I'll probably be playing, just because I can play it with my friends. I really want single player games, but I also really want to play with people, and so I feel like we're probably gonna get that. It's Fallout 76, Battlefield 5, and The Division 2.
Okay. Now, when it comes to Fallout, there are definitely plenty of options for you to try to see whether or not you'd like Fallout. Is there any Fallout games that you'd be willing to give a shot before you know whether or not 76 is the one for you?
Oh, I'd be definitely, but I also feel like I already kind of know what it's going to be like, because it's essentially like steampunk Skyrim. If that makes sense. It's just like
I can't argue that one bit.
The visuals are just different, but otherwise gameplay feels like it would be identical to Skyrim, except here you've got guns and different crafting systems and whatever.
It violently hurts to hear that. There's a joke about Fallout is Skyrim with guns, and it's a joke everybody makes fun of. So it hurts to hear that, but like, you know, it is the same.
Yeah. So
you know? So there are similarities. Let's be real.
Like, but, even with like the slow motion, I'm almost gonna die, or I just killed this thing that you have Skyrim, like with an bow and arrow. Oh, I think I'm about to hit that dragon, but I'm actually gonna hit that rabbit right behind it.
Yeah.
And it's
that rabbit. You're helping Kim out to finally get his genocide of rabbits going on.
Yeah, yep. Play New Vegas. Anyway.
So yeah, Fallout 76, Battlefield 5, and Division 2.
Division 2.
Okay, fair enough.
We also forgot to say, so we didn't actually talk about it all, but yeah, Smash is a thing. It's every character from every Smash game. That's cool. Good idea.
Except Waluigi.
Except Waluigi. Well,
I mean, Waluigi was nothing but a trophy, to be fair.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, so just to say we talked about Smash because we totally glossed over it. But yeah, what are yours, Tyler?
Mine is the Pokemon Snap game that never got announced or released. Oh no, you did specify, Nick, that any game that's going to be coming out in the near future. So
that can be playable. Yeah.
First game would be Kingdom Hearts 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then very begrudgingly, Super Smash Brothers, because I have Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U, and I'm sure there are a lot of other people that have it that I know.
13 million of them
that will not start that thing back up. Like I would, it's like, hey, if you're excited for the one for the Switch, let's play some right now. I got things to do. I mean, okay, whatever, fine. Anyways, finally, third one could be a wild card. Probably Last of Us Part 2. I did love Last of Us, the first game, and I really think the second one, honestly, as long as they follow the same formula and add a couple of nicks and turns, it is a story that I have control of to a limited extent, and that is all I need. Now, whether or not you need a deep dive of that game is to convince you whether or not it's a good one, that is for you. However, I am excited for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more than Super Smash Brothers, but Super Smash Brothers has a special place in my childhood heart that can never leave. Whether or not I want to vacate it, it's not in my control anymore. This is part of my psyche because I spent hours and days and years playing this game, and I still remember the exact memories I had playing the Super Smash Brothers for the 64 and then for the GameCube. Problem is, though, I have completely went out of touch after it went for the Wii and then the Wii U, and now that it's come back, it's almost like playing Pokemon Red and Blue and then Gold and Silver, and suddenly you got Sun and Moon. It's like, can I come back? Can I get good? Can I enjoy this with other people?
With the right attitude, you can do it, Tyler.
You might not want to, though. Because I'm of the opinion, so I got out. I didn't touch Brawl either on the Wii, and I played every other one.
Oh, I played the heck out of it. I beat people.
But my feelings on it was I was glad that I wasn't in it because now I can play more games. That's the one thing where it's like, okay, yeah, Smash is fun, but it's why I kind of stay away from fighting games generally. Except when I like talking about fighting games and going in deep and looking at them once and getting a sense of the mechanics, but I'm not going to keep playing them for years because I want to get around to other games. So something that I can't complete like that feels to me in my goals, it's not a waste of my time necessarily, but I can more effectively use my time and get through many other games rather than just play that one ad nauseum.
I just wonder if Super Smash Brothers can be a game that you can, nowadays anyways, play casually with your friends.
It still can, as long as your friends will play casually with you. That's the thing,
right? But it just feels like you're 2 seconds immediately becoming competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you enter competitive scene, it's like you play with your friends, you lose the match, you're like, man, I wish I could get better. And all of a sudden this dark curtain behind you just lowers and shifts to the side and say, hey, you want to get good? I'll teach you them. You want to see some S-rank characters? And then suddenly it just goes downhill, just viciously into, exactly where I'm going with this, super high competitive. Everybody plays Diddy Kong and Falco and all that stuff. And it's atrocious. And I'm afraid because a lot of people that I would like to play with, I naturally would like to beat. And for some reason, whether or not it's just because I pick the casual crowd or whatnot, I am very good at Super Smash Brothers. I know when to dodge. I know when to grapple. I know when to hit and then grapple and all that stuff. I'm some reason good at it with the people I play. However, if I were to pick somebody that were to able to beat me, then I know I'm going to want to get competitive with this person. They're going to be the Vegeta to my Goku. I'm going to want to learn tips and tricks and to beat. And suddenly I'm going to go way dark.
Yeah. And you have to put in the time.
In the time, the commitment, the skill. And then when I do beat them, they're going to immediately not want to play with me anymore. And then it's like, do I become a Twitch streamer or do I give up on this game?
Well, you know, the funny thing too is we talk about it for Smash, but Smash isn't even the worst of them. Practically any other fighting game is way worse in terms of like, oh, there's the people who know how to play and the people that don't. Like you can pick up a Smash game. Even now, I can pick up Smash 4 and play and like get some hits in, get a couple of kills in off of the group that plays it just constantly every day at my college. But if you go online with a fighting game, like if you decide to casually pick up like Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue, you will not win a single match in 100 matches. You will get lit up.
It's a gift how quick and easy you're able to be pit against a pro player.
Yeah.
It's like it's
not even
amazing.
Pro. It's just everyone will just destroy you because they know what they're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a lot worse than Smash. So at least for Smash, you're not getting up there in levels. But yeah, it is still a thing where if people want to play Smash seriously, they're just gonna light you up pretty hard unless you want to put in the time.
Oh man. So that is the 3 games I would be excited for. So overall, I personally think PlayStation, Sony, Nintendo, and then Windows. Now, I'm guessing this is me a wild guess, probably Microsoft, Nintendo. So what would it be for you? Would it be Microsoft Bethesda?
I can give you the list. I have it. What's it called?
Of course, you got a report card at this point.
Yeah, we did have a report card. It went order-wise: Microsoft, Nintendo, Square Enix, Sony, Bethesda, tie, Ubisoft, EA was the what's it called? The end card for me.
What about you, Nick?
Halo.
Okay, so like, Microsoft.
It was Bethesda, Microsoft. And then I didn't catch the last few conferences, so I can't speak on a whole for everything. But Microsoft and Bethesda really set the bar high that weekend, that day.
For a lot of promises they probably won't make.
Probably not, but as a conference, they did great.
Yeah.
They were definitely good at exciting people.
I like the visuals of Ubisoft. I know Cam and I have been debating about this on it was fanfare and they're not telling us about games despite it being a gaming conference, but it looks like Ubisoft is going in a very artsy direction, and just overall their aesthetic is now evolving that way, and I really enjoy it and I appreciate it because it's a little bit different now from all the other kind of like styles of games that we're getting.
Yeah, it's interesting because last year Ubisoft actually had one of the best conferences in my opinion. They did a very good job for their station and it was very effective. And they always have the Just Dance thing, but like you said, yeah, it was really colorful this year. And they kind of backtracked. Like 2017 Ubisoft was much different than 2016, but this 2018 is a lot more like 2016. The 2017 was really the outlier for, in my opinion, effectiveness, but they are more colorful now. That's definitely the case.
Okay, so EA. Or it's not EA. Let's not talk about EA, please.
No, please.
E3 overall. What's your grade for it?
Oh, can we? I wanted to talk about with Ubisoft, and they did the Beyond Good and Evil 2 collaboration with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's company, Hitbox.
Yeah,
or Hit
Record.
Hit Record.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Personally, like I like to see this sort of community engagement and crowdsourcing for art styles in a game. I think that was really cool. Yeah, okay. I just want to.
I'll second that. I'm a really big fan of this. My only stipulation is I'm a big fan of this as long as it's small stuff, because I do think it will eventually, if it's too much, it gets to the point of make our game for us. But if it's just like background graffiti and like more world building stuff, like they said, like radio channels, that's awesome. Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, E3 was great.
Yeah, wonderful E3.
Christmas in June. Just really excited for the future. I'm excited. I was just hope there was a lot more hardware stuff from the big companies.
Yeah,
just a tiny bit more. Right, like maybe the expected Switch 2 or Switch 1.5 with the hardware updates. But other than that, it was great.
Yeah, I think we've been lucky the last few years. We've been very lucky that E3 hasn't been terrible, because we've had like early, like 2011, like 2009 to like 2012, 12 maybe were always just like, ugh, E3s. They weren't that great. But now we're finally hit a stride. I don't think 2014 was too great either, but we hit a good stride now, I think, where we've gotten a couple years in a row. It's been pretty good.
Very true. Maybe it's because I have listened to every single E3 since probably 2006 with different media outlets that I have a different view on how this E3 went. However, it's weird because I have certain people that'll say certain things and it clicks to me just the right way and such that I was like, wow, they're right. This is, kind of how I felt about it too, because I felt like this E3 was very lackluster and sometimes it had a couple of good shining moments, but I didn't feel the excitement that I would have had with other stuff like, maybe not last year, but say 2016, where the hype was big. Now, coincidentally, of course, Breath of the Wild was being hyped that year too. So whether or not that influences my decision is, beyond the speculation of the masses. However, it felt like that this game, or it's not this game, this E3 was not to the level that I was expecting. Now, I always have no expectations to an E3, so it went beyond my expectations. So congrats.
However, yeah, because I was going to ask, like, what could we have seen? Because as far as I'm concerned, in terms of game announcements, like we saw even all the Dream games. Like we're talking new Gears, new Halo, Cyberpunk, new Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, Smash, Devil May Cry 5. Like everything that was rumored happened. So I can't even imagine what would be beyond that.
Of course, Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, okay, yep, fair.
A Mario Odyssey 2 of sorts would have been.
They'll need more time for that.
Pokemon is completely out because it's been covered on so many different levels. However, they could easily announce anything that was Mario related in terms of Odyssey, because they don't have to say it's out next year. It could have been a far flung future. Because no offense, Metroid Prime 4 is probably not going to be seen until sometime past 2020 at least.
Yeah, it might be 2020.
Let's say maybe 19 holiday, but let's be real here. We haven't.
What if it's for the next gen of Switch? I feel like that's very possible at this point.
I don't think Metroid. I think since they just put out the console, Metroid is still going to be on Switch. I do feel that way though for some PlayStation stuff. I actually think Ghost of Tsushima might have been running on hardware. It looked a little too pretty for what the PS4 Pro is capable of. That might have been E3, screwery. That might just be E3 magic in putting things on PC and saying they're in engine. But it did look a little beyond what the Pro can do. It might be.
And until we get all games at 60 FPS on the next gen, if that doesn't happen, if games are not running at base 60 FPS, it's never ever going to happen.
And lucky for us, that's what Microsoft said they're targeting for next gen.
Thank God.
Yep.
Because I said in a few episodes earlier, it was a drunken night. I went on to Destiny 1. The 30 FPS made my eyes bleed. I could feel like somebody's reaching into my eyeballs at the back and just like scratching it like hands down a chunk.
Yeah.
It was bad. I will say I've retracted some of the saltiness from Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee and Pikachu.
Really? Go on.
I'm not a little bit more.
It is what it is. I don't care for it now anymore. I'm just glad that there's a main core Pokemon RPG game coming. It seems like it's a fun thing, but yeah.
I got a little more salty actually because they showed off that what's it called? To fight the gym leaders, you have to show off Pokemon of a certain type. To be like, oh,
yeah, they tell you what you need to have to beat the gym. Not
even that. It's the fact that they're making me catch it to go and show them is like, as a player, guess what? I don't want to do that because I play through these games 40 times in a row. That's going to ruin replayability.
I know you have an Onix, but I'm still going to fight you with my electric type because I can.
Because I can. And you know what? And they gave Pikachu double kick at level 9 because now he can.
No, but then you have to have a certain type, so you can't even lead with Pikachu.
Yeah.
That's what Nidoran was for, Nidorino and Nidorino for the double kick.
Mm-hmm. And in Fire Red and Leaf Green, if you started with Charmander, Charmander gets Iron Claw.
Yeah, Metal Claw. Yeah. So it made sense they do it for Pikachu. They just need to see, did they do it for Eevee? And that becomes the question. But
it was amazing how quickly, like, originally I was salty and then I became very excited.
I'm really, really trying, Tyler, to not be upset about these games.
Oh no, it's okay. I went right back down to like the Pacific Ocean doesn't have enough salt as
yeah,
much as I do
it's
right
like
now.
I'm a little salty and disappointed, but like the main games are coming, and also those pre-orders are like made already. So you know what I mean? Like I'm still gonna hit that button right away.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Because right now in my head, it's not even that, oh, I'm excited for this game. It's like, grumble. Now I got to play Pokemon Go so I can transfer my Pokemon over proper to play this game because everybody else is going to do it. It's a mindset that I discussed. However, I'm going to still do it. It's a curse, man. It's a curse. No, I am a man of nostalgia.
I understand.
I'm excited for Kingdom Hearts 3. I would have wished there was a Metroid Prime game announcement. I wish there was even a announcement regarding like, oh yeah, you know, that Final Fantasy VII episodic game that we're totally going to make one time this, you know, century.
Never, ever.
It's still existing. You know, just a little something of my, you know, my childhood. But right now, Pokemon's all I got. Besides, you know, Smash Brothers. So I guess I'm gonna catch, you know, 260 Larvatars out in the streets of my city because that's all I got going on right now for my future Switch game. Because Fortnite's not gonna do it because that game's terrible for the Switch. We'll see what it's like on the PC if Nick has his way with me. We'll see.
Oh.
Is there anything else that we want to talk about E3 at this point?
It's been
2.5 hours. I mean, if you want to start playing Russian roulette, I'm down for it at this point because this is, you know, this is what it feels like.
I think someone actually sent me a message. One of you guys messaged me something, or was it you guys? Maybe somebody else.
Oh, it was me. I was saying, man, I thought I was sweating hard. Don't die of heat stroke.
Am I? Oh, am I sweating?
I don't know. You're shinier than one of the Larvatars I caught today.
That would do it. You know, I have to turn my AC off. So
yeah, I respect that, man. Let us do the wrap up. We'll do some plugins. We'll do some housekeeping.
Thank God.
Yes.
Nick, go ahead.
Don't you love it?
Start us off. What's going on?
Are we doing housekeeping?
Yes.
So as I may have mentioned before, Guardian Con is a charity event, convention, fan gaming convention thing that's happening in Tampa this year.
Yeah, it has Bungie
13th and 14th. Bungie is officially announced they're going to be there. Warframe devs are going to be there. It's going to be great. They're raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which is out over in Memphis, wherever that is in the States. I have no idea of like American geography. I know Tampa's down south where it shouldn't be there.
Memphis, I'm pretty sure it's Tennessee, right?
Is it? Okay, that's
oh yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, to me, St. Jude's, when you say St. Jude's, everybody in America for the most part knows of the word St. Jude's.
Yeah.
But to them, it might as well be Neverland because they don't know where it's actually located generally unless you're needing to go there for, you know, very specific reasons. So it's like a fantasy land for us.
Yeah. So the goal is to raise enough money to run them for a day. 2016, they raised $500,000. Last year they raised $1.3 million. This year they're already at $900,000, and their goal is $3 million.
Yep.
So yeah, if you go to guardiancon.co /support, you'll be able to go to a donation link and help some kids with cancer out. Because if you don't, you're a jerk. Thank you.
Yep. Help those cancer kids.
Man, it's going to be a meme at this point. Jeez. Good job, Nick. I am proud of you for remembering that to a T.
Thank you.
You can email us personally at casualmasterquest@gmail.com and be the first person to email us besides the spam that, you know, saying how we can improve our podcast sponsorship.
But did you know about our updated privacy policies?
Yes, very much so. I've heard about a lot of them. Thank you, Square Enix.
I can make your podcast great.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Scott Peterson. I don't know what the guy's name is. Or you can hit us up on Twitter at MasterQuestPod. All podcasts and gaming can be found on our YouTube channel, which we will link on our Twitter whenever we're doing something. And just for a heads up, once again, I'm going to be gone for the next episode. It's going to be up to
I'm clapping not because you're going to be gone, but because you're getting married.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah.
Happy Mary.
Yeah, Nick and Cam are going to have to flip a coin to decide who's hosting next week, or I'm going to have to send an arbitrator. Man, I've been drinking too much of this wine. I swear, guys. We're going to have a fun episode next week, but I won't be in it. So you enjoy that for now. I can be found on Twitter at 2xTyler. Nick?
You can find me on Twitter at LRWarrior11 and on Mixer at mixer.com/LR. Mixer.com/LRWarrior11. My big busy course is over, and so streams should be back next week, but again, very sporadically because I'm a busy man.
Do you want to talk about your project that you've been working so hard on?
Oh my goodness, it's finally done. Me and our team and our actor, we partied hard last night. Everybody got drunk. It was great. I threw up for the first time in 3 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congrats, man.
Not so great this morning, but I made it through. I'm looking all nice and pretty for the podcast.
Oh yeah, you are.
It was a good project. He's a professional actor. He's been on some supporting roles and some big productions. So if you've ever seen This Means War with Chris Pine, Tom Hardy, and Reese Witherspoon, so he's a sushi chef in that movie. There's a scene where she walks in and she's trying to hide from her ex-boyfriend, and ex-boyfriend walks in. He's like, "Oh, do you eat here often?" And it's like, "Yeah, and she's like, "I'm just waiting for my current boyfriend." And the sushi chef's like, "No, she always dines for one, just one," embarrassing her in front of her ex-boyfriend. So that was great. He worked for us for free. He was excited to just work on the project. It tells a story of a man who suddenly finds himself alone in this world, and has to go through some existential stuff.
And you can find that on YouTube. It's called Hikikomori,
right?
I know the term. I can't pronounce it to save my life. What is the name of the channel that we could find it on?
Oh, it's on my personal channel. I think I'll put out a tweet later. I'll tweet out a link, and I'll even give the Master Quest Pod Twitter will also tweet it out, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Double quest. Certain.
Go easy on me. It was only 3 weeks and we were really stressed, and it was 3 a.m. mornings and lots of all-nighters. Thank you.
So many disclaimers. Cam, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me hiding in my house and never leaving because E3 is over. You can find me at Cam Collects on Twitter. Also, of course, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cam Collects. I stream Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then also Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern. This past week I was on vacation because I have a once-a-year break for E3 basically, where we don't put out a podcast episode either. We just do the E3 coverage for my other project. So this next week coming up, I will be continuing that. So Monday and Friday should be good to go. And then beyond that, of course, we'll continue normal schedule. Other than that, you can find me on my other podcast if you want to listen to that at intothevideogames.libsyn.com. We put out a mini episode for every single E3 conference where we talked about them each for way too long. So that was a fun time. Let's just say it was basically during E3 2 full days. It was the Sunday and Monday. It was just full days of watch, conference, talk, record, edit, post, watch, conference, talk, record, edit, post. Like no sleeping. Mercy. No, it was, oh man, it's always so violent. But that's all done. And so that's why I've been hiding in my house the past few days. But return to normal schedule for this upcoming week. And those are all the places you can find me.
Okay, sounds good. That was episode 6 for Casual Master Quest.
Oof.
We had a good time. That was probably the longest talk we ever had.
How long was this?
This was 2.5 hours.
35 minutes.
Yeah. That's, I think, longer than any of the ones I've ever done, too, on my other stuff. Yeah.
So, I mean, we dug in. We went whole round, everything right into the mix. I think
it's fitting for E3, right? So
I really wish I had more sharper weapons to fight, Cam off with his... But we'll have to decide that in a different method or format. However,
weapons can't defeat me. Anyway.
Okay. You guys have yourselves a great day. I hope you enjoyed Casual Master Quest. We'll see you next week. And don't forget to never stop the grind.
Love you.
I love you too.